I'd like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreation, and Greenway Board meeting here on December 7th at 9:07 a.m. We have myself, Christina, and Bob here, so we do have a quorum. We also have our council liaison, Kimberly, as well. And moving on to the adoption of the agenda. I know that there was one change that was requested, so can I hear a motion on the table to move unfinished business item number 2 to unfinished business item number 5 and move 3 and 4 up?
So moved.
Second, yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from November 2nd, which was a regular meeting, and November 30th, which was the joint meeting with council. It was in our package, and I have some copies here if anybody needs them quickly. But any changes, additions, edits that anyone would request? Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the minutes of November 2nd, 21 regular meeting and November 30th joint meeting with council as they are written?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is public comment period. Austin, I think you have one, but I also see a guest on the web link. Does that person that's on there wish to make any public comment? Okay.
Shall I go into this one? This is a big one.
Okay.
We have a comment submitted by Amy Ferguson, 10,356 Newtown Road. To Derek Durst, the clerk of the Village of Marvin, the Parks and Recreation Committee, and board members. Lanny Openshaw had a vision to establish a community park, and he nailed it. I am sure he would be thrilled to see the daily usage from all aspects of activities and diversities of people enjoying the beautiful outdoors in a peaceful setting. I would ask each board member, what are your goals for the park? Are you seeking a return on investment, a place to provide access to recreational opportunities, community enrichment, increased property values, etc.? Do you have plans to purchase another property for a park or build another barn at this site? If you increase the park usage fees, will the funds be allocated to new park resources? My name is Amy Ferguson. I have been a resident of the Village of Marvin since 2011. I'm also a small business owner that has been blessed to have the fortunate opportunity to host hundreds of dog training classes over the years at Marvin Eford Park. For the first several years, the park was a hidden gem, underutilized and not well known by those in the community. It was often joked that everyone in Marvin has their own large yard, pool, and play set, so why would people come to this park when they can stay home? The park eventually gained popularity, mainly with photographers, as you can see why, with such a gorgeous natural setting, a beautiful barn to use as backdrops. Once COVID came, outdoor venues were in high demand for a place to go outside the home for recreational outlets, as well as for small business owners to grasp onto ways to maintain their business. The barn at the park became a hotspot for small business owners to stay in business and provide recreational outlets, extracurricular activities, and enrichment activities to attend. It is my understanding that one of the topics on the agenda is the idea to institute a flat hourly rental rate for usage of the barn. Last year, my professional pass increased to $250. Over the years, I have worked closely with Mr. Derek Durst to maintain a schedule that allows usage of the barn by many other professional pass holders, community citizens, and private barn rental usage. Please note when considering the rate increases the reason. Please note that when considering the rate increases, the reason I asked you about your park. it will be a fine balance of running it like a business and offering it as a community enhancer with your citizens in mind to maintain the varied programs. As small business owners, we love what we do and what we provide to the people in our community at your town park. Most of us are not making a killing financially, so if you could please consider a rate that is fair, such as $15 to $20 an hour. I am not sure if you are thinking of just a flat rate or a sliding scale rate, such as higher rates on weekends, holidays, etc., or discounted rates for high-end users and professional pass holders. So I will focus on the fixed hourly rate that I believe is being proposed. Currently, I have the barn reserved for 4 times a month. If I paid $15 an hour, the annual fee would be $720. That is about 3 times what I paid last year. If I paid $20, the annual fee would be $960. Nearly 4. I forgot to set the timer. Nearly 4 times the amount I paid last year. If your rates were $40 an hour, my annual fee would be $1,920. This would not be feasible for me to run for my small business, in addition to the insurance, tax, and certification, paid staff, other funds that are associated with running a small business that people often don't think about. I agree that your rate should increase, but gently. Mr. Durst has done a phenomenal job as the Parks and Rec Director. He has built an amazing community vibe with all types of people seeking different outlets and interests that can be fulfilled. He has a full Parks and Recreation activity program that is driven by the interest of people in the community. I'm sure you'll take his input and suggestions into account when making this decision as the elected council. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please feel free to reach out to me as needed. I'm going to take a long sip of water.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Wrong.
And
I apologize. I forgot the timer.
I also see an Eric that did join online. Does Eric wish to make any public comment? Okay. All right, moving on from public comment, we'll start with public facility managers update. Item number 1 is Roundabout plantings update, and Derek, you're on.
All right, I have received 1 quote for the roundabout plantings that Bob and Andy submitted, and it is from the current landscaper who is maintaining the roundabouts. It is for basically $8,800.
Is that for both, Derek? Is that both roundabouts or per roundabout?
No, that's for both.
Okay.
How many? Derek, this is Bob. How many? What's he charging per plant for wintergreen boxwoods?
I don't have that breakdown.
Well, here's my concern. Is he charging us retail or wholesale for the plants? He needs to be charging us wholesale. And there's a huge difference between retail and wholesale for plants. That number just seems very high to me. But I would really like to know.
You need to itemize.
Yeah, we need to know what he's charging per plant. That number seems awfully high. If I'm not mistaken, we were talking about 9 times 4 is 36. I think, as I recall, we were talking about, and help me out there, but I think less than 50 wintergreen boxwoods per roundabout. But let's just say 50, that'd be 100.
Yeah, it's totaled at 96.
Okay, so you got 96 boxwoods, and 96 boxwoods, depending on whether it's a 3-gallon or a 7-gallon, 5-gallon. I mean, I can't imagine it being more than 20 bucks a plant, maybe $15 a plant. I mean, I just would like to see him itemize it and find out where he's getting the plants, if he's getting them for, lanthams or kings, or where he's sourcing the plants. I know he's got to go to one of the big nurseries for that many plants. But he should be charging us wholesale on the plants, and I know he's gotta cover his labor, et cetera, but that number just seems high. And I know it's your only quote, so, but I'd love to see us get 3 quotes on this.
Yeah, I've got another one out for bid, and then I've reached out to a third vendor to fulfill the 3 quotes. So I just wanted to give you an update, kind of where we are, just get
Appreciate
your
it.
initial feedback.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Trying to find the quote itself to see the numbers, but I lost it. I had it earlier, but I apologize.
Okay.
Oh,
So is everybody okay with getting 3 quotes?
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
when is the ideal,
That's
when is the
crazy.
ideal time again that we would wanna do these plantings?
Well, ideally, it'd have been great to do it now.
Okay, so it's a, cause
Well,
I
not
know
maintaining,
some of the things we talked
I'm talking
about
about
being
winter.
better in the
Yes, yeah,
spring.
yes.
I'm talking about winter.
That would be good now. It's
The
not,
Lantana's later on in the year.
yeah, in the
Okay.
spring, yeah.
But we still have, and she knows more about this than I, but I'll plant up until April. But I wouldn't plant much after April with their direct sun
Yeah,
and they're not established.
yeah,
I
okay,
think we need to set a deadline for getting the plants in.
yeah,
But we need to be clear on certain things, like I wouldn't even want to move the lantana this time of year, right?
Yeah.
But the
Right.
plant in the wintergreen, so it might be a layered kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
not like we can go out there one day and do it all, and they
Correct.
probably won't like that,
That's
but
true.
that's
Oh, that's good.
the way.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
okay. So we have some more time for-
Yes.
to get the quotes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Anything else, Derek, on that one?
no, I just appreciate Bob and Andy working together and coming up with a plan.
Okay. Next item, number 2 on Public Facility Manager's update is Marvin Gardens Pocket Park update.
Christina, you want it?
No, I'll let you have it. You're not doing it.
All right. We put out a request for bid for clearing of the new town hall property, and through that we came across a vendor who was interested in clearing the pocket park for us as well. Christina met with him and I met with him, and he came back with a bid of $6,000 for the clearing of the pocket park. And Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but council approved that. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like.
Well,
when,
he's not
when we
gonna-
say that, is he clearing
He's not clear
the
cutting it.
park, or we've got that main area with those
He's gonna pull.
invasive trees?
Yeah, he's gonna
Yes.
get the privets out,
Get
and he's
that
gonna do
out.
that. Remember, about a third of the design was gonna be cleared,
Yeah.
and then the rest, and then he was gonna put some paths in for us too.
Okay.
So it was, so it's a little bit. It might even be easier for him to just clear cut everything than to have to be a little more precise. But still, that doesn't sound crazy. It's gonna take
No.
him.
No.
Just pulling those privets out is gonna be a pain.
Yeah, Andy said that was a
Well, he said he wanted the
reasonable
work.
price.
Yeah, he said he wanted the work, and he seemed like he knew what he knew. Like he could handle it, right, Derek? I mean, he seemed competent, didn't he? To you?
Now, when
Yeah.
we say he's gonna kind of put a couple of paths through, are we then gonna have to follow that up with some sort of material for the path, or would that be included?
I don't know. Was any kind of path cover like mulch?
Because if you do it just mud, just dirt.
Oh, well, I would just have him mow it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't. mow
Okay,
it.
so you're talking about him just kind of.
Just like
mowing
mowing
it
some
down.
paths, so then we
Okay.
knew where they were. and-
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I don't know. Was mulch included in that? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think specifically that. I mean, he could probably mulch up what's there. What's the material on the pathways on your plan? Do you know?
I think mulch would be like some kind of bark, the big mulch. Not pine bark, but that's not bad. Whatever we could get that was cheaper, but the big chunky mulch. Don't you
For-
think, Bob? For the path.
For the pathways,
Mhm.
that's the permanent material.
Perfect.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
One thing, I know there's drainage ditch is dug along the edge of the property there, and that property does seem to have a pretty natural crown from when you go. Is it something that, you know, potentially you could just leave grass so that it's just something that you mow? Or would we prefer not to have that?
I would.
You think mulch?
Well, and I would do the cardboard mulch thing so that it kind of killed what was it ever underneath it. And at Christmas time, we could all save our cardboard boxes and just mulch on top of that. And I think you keep adding enough mulch. It'll take a couple of times. I mean, you know, a couple of years of adding mulch. And then every probably couple of years, you'd have to do it again, every 3 or something, just to clean it up a little.
Okay.
But it should be,
Why wouldn't we do the crushed concrete?
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
well, I would not do that because it's supposed to be a natural area. And that's not what's there. That doesn't really help the point of the whole pocket park to me. But if that seems like a better plan, you know, I'll deal with it.
Well,
Derek,
I just want something that's easy to maintain, and you know, I'm not out there
Yeah.
replacing mulch every 6 or 12 months.
Well-
Derek, is it pervious or impervious, the crushed concrete?
It'll let a little water through. I mean, it'll fluff up, you know, and it'll settle back down.
But
Kind
my guess is
of
that it
recompact.
My guess is that it also gets weeds on top of it, just like everything else does on top, and then we got to go back in and spray the weeds. And
It won't get weeds on top. It'll, you know, stuff will encroach on the sides a little bit, but it won't get weeds on top.
I mean, I think if we're doing any sort of like, I know it's not going to be like a long walking path, but it is going to be a walk, like it's a path for people to walk on. And so I think we made our standards for the crushed concrete, correct?
Yeah, that's what we decided as
So
our
I mean-
standard for paths and trail.
I mean, it's a path in a park. It might not be a long one. So I would just keep it standardized.
Consistent.
We can have whenever Derek, I mean, I know you guys are working on doing like a giant bid for like a lot of the trails so that we don't have to keep getting 3 quotes, and that's going to be a super small one, and just have who we normally use. But I mean, because I know you guys are working on the internal preserve trail, I would just have him go over there and look at once it's cleared and just see what he can put down like while he's doing the internal preserve trail. Cause it's not that big of a space.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something that we could do if we just got the materials delivered.
Oh, okay. Even
I'm just
better.
wondering, Christina, do you have a copy of your plan?
not with me, sorry. I might have a
That's all right.
picture. I've got
Well, I was just gonna see if I can take it to Hunter and let him like overlay it on a like a GIS or something and try to give us an idea of how many linear feet that might be. But
That's a good idea. Cause I mean, again, it's not a lot of walking's trail area, but if we're gonna have anything walking, which should be consistent.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's
and they've already put the outer
The outer.
path
Oh yeah,
around it.
and my paths connect back up to that,
Yeah.
so that's all cool. And true, Derek, we can probably get people to help move that if you get it delivered. I mean, apparently 25 high schoolers can do an amazing amount of work in 2 hours.
Awesome.
Good God! So you know that's the perfect kind of project for them.
Okay.
yeah, power of multiplication.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, I can bring that plan by. I actually did draw it on top of something Rohit gave me that was I don't know that it's perfectly to scale, but it's pretty much to scale. But I can bring that by for him.
I have the original.
And I think I've flipped it since then because of where the privets are. I
Okay.
flipped it, you know, where it goes like this, I did it like this.
Okay.
Just to make, you know, why
Yeah.
not use the area for
Yeah.
the privets, of the privets.
Derek, does that work for, I mean,
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Okay.
So I'll take it to Hunter and then I'll talk to the trail builder and just see about getting some material over there and kind of coordinate that with the guy doing the clearing.
perfect. Do we know when, I mean, I know we approved that. Do we know when that's gonna take place, the clearing?
No, I've got to get with Jamie and get some
Money?
money moved for that.
Okay,
I don't want to put the cart before the
horse.
financial horse.
And Derek, let's just make sure that in that quote, he does have the the equipment to mow out the paths. So at least we kind of, and I don't mind walking in front of him to where they go. That will be just,
Don't let them run you over.
Yeah. I can mark them off first, but I mean, this stuff is tall right now, but that's okay. And I think I mentioned to you all that I had Keith O'Haron, the new urban forester for the county, come
With
by
the
and look
trees.
at it. Yeah, and so he pointed out a couple trees, and I told this guy, I can't remember the guy's name, Derek, the landscaper. What's his name?
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay, sorry. To point out, there's a Bartlett pear in there that
Okay,
needs
good.
to, or Bradford pear,
Bradford.
whichever the bad one is. Yes, they
Bradford.
gotta go.
Oh, Bradfords are bad now?
Oh,
They're
Trash
very
trees.
invasive.
Really?
Very
Trash trees.
trash tree. Yes.
They used to have those in the front yard.
Okay, that's it. Good, thank you.
Hey, Derek, let me make one comment, just to inform the board. Dan Wilson's daughter, Sloan, is donated $255 to the Pocket Park,
Oh.
Really?
and she would like it used for the planting of native plants and so on and so forth. So I just want everybody to know, she's Sloan's probably about 10, maybe 11. But anyway, they made a donation of $255, and
Awesome.
so at the time y'all need to do it, we've got it in the marsh as restricted.
Oh, wow.
So we'll just write the check to whoever's appropriate.
Cool.
So I thought y'all would like to know.
Very nice.
Nice.
Good, nice donation.
That is very nice. It's going to be called Sloan's Pocket Park.
That's right.
Our highest.
You said for planting
Plants
indigenous
are-
plants?
I'm sorry.
You said for planting indigenous
For,
plants?
yeah, native.
That is
plants.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to meet Miss Sloan. That's cool. She can come out there and plant them if she would like to.
Just say, no, I'm just gonna give the money
No,
to the money
I'm
person.
just, yeah, she's already
She's
gone
already made
corporate
her
on me. Yeah, she's
contribution,
like,
right?
I've just given my money. You plant
Yeah,
them,
that's
silly
right.
thing.
All right, we good with the Pocket Park?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, unfinished business items number 1, discussion of annual tree lighting and Santa parade. And Derek, let me hand these out. I've got some stuff prepared on this. These are, yeah.
For your next 2 items. There you go, John.
All right, Derek, it has you. Do you have a copy of this? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, he's muted.
Is this the one with the little snow-covered tree at the top?
Yep.
It is.
Yes,
Okay.
and there's 3 pages. Oh, I guess this is everything. Okay.
Yeah, this is this. Yeah, you only have to do the first page.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now.
All right, everything is good and confirmed. We just need for good weather and a good turnout.
Well, let me order that.
Yeah.
Um,
So the parade will start at Town Hall at 3. We'll go from there over to the park for the tree lighting ceremony. We'll have some stuff going on at all times as listed there. I've got Christina's gonna receive the ice sculpture,
Sounds so
and
formal.
then John, you and Austin and I just need to get together on that music equipment
yeah.
piece. I have a backup plan if that doesn't work, but I'd like to.
Are you still
Solidify
planning on
that.
us doing that right after this meeting, or you're remote now? So
I can get over there if that works for you.
I have a meeting with Kim after this, so.
Okay. Well, we can probably squeeze it in right after that or something. We'll see.
Well, and if you guys are missing something that you think we have a garage full of sound equipment. So just
okay.
let me know.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we were missing last time, I remember having to go home to borrow a cable from my daughter's guitar because we didn't have like a cable from the instrument to the thing.
Yeah,
So
that sort of stuff.
so that might still be missing. And I'm free on and off through the day too. So if it fits better in your schedule this afternoon or something, I might have some opportunities to do it later or right after this, whatever's easier for you, Derek.
Okay. We'll touch base as soon as the meeting's over.
Um,
Did you have confirmation on those 2 performances you mentioned about, I think, the choir and the band?
So I have confirmation on the choir, but I have not heard back on the band. And Joe's been helping me with that because apparently it's a group of parents rather than the regular band director that's running some of these promo things right now. Not promotional. Well, 2 things. I had mentioned this to Austin as well the other day, but at least in the case of the band, the choir didn't mention this to me. Many years ago when we first started inviting the choir, my daughter was on the choir, and you know, at the time, I personally used to give them like $50, you know, toward their trips and things like that.
High school choir?
Yes. And I inquired the other day about whether or not, because the band is, you know, they have an actual flyer that they've prepared, and they're asking $50 too. And after the first year or 2 that I did it, I know that the village had been the ones that had been giving them that honorarium or whatever. So I mentioned this to Austin the other day, but there was some concern, unless there's an actual invoice for it or something like that, that it may be more difficult to do that. So
Yeah, we had to look at the policy, and we don't think that it's consistent with the policy.
So what I said is I'll buck up the $50 to both of them just as a donation, you know. But I haven't heard back from the band yet, because they were originally saying they were available from 5:30, but that they might be able to be there earlier because we would need them at 5, because we end at 5:30. And I haven't seen a communication back from them yet. I'll reach out to them again today just to confirm. But I'm kind of waiting on hearing.
5:30, I mean, if they can be there then, we can, I can put them, you know, push them back a few minutes. You know, it's going to be cloudy and rainy, which means that, you know, it'll probably be darker a little sooner. If
Yeah.
it were clear skies, it might hold off till 5:30, 5:45. But it's going to be, I'm going to predict it, you know, there won't be much sunshine, so it'll get darker a little sooner. But, you know, even after we light the tree, we could go ahead and light the tree at 5:15, 5:20, and then the band could play if they make it. So it's one of those deals. If they show up, then great, we can, you know, just, they start blaring their horns, people will turn and watch.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back for if they can confirm at 5 o'clock, because if they can, you've got the 5:15 slot open with those other ones penciled in at 4:30 and 5. And so I would tell them, if they can do, you know, 5:15, which, you know, if they could do 5, they could do 5:15, then I can have the choir, you know, confirmed at 4:30. I'm sorry, at 4:45.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right.
Can I ask a question about the finance? What policy can we not?
Purchasing policy.
I'm skimming through it now to see what I can find.
What does it say, Jamie? For the, why can't we give $50 to the choir and the band for? Can we make like?
Isn't that as a donation, and we don't fund outside organizations?
I know, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm trying to think through it.
That's the outside non-funding policy or something like that.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem doing
Well, I know, but I mean, you shouldn't have to do that, and it's something that we've asked them to do for the village. We'll talk. We'll talk. I'll talk to Jamie about it. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, I looked at it as it's a couple of meetings, you know.
I know, but all right, we'll look at it, see what we can do.
All right. And I know, Derek, you had reached out to me directly, and I don't know if you did others, just seeing if might be able to get there a bit early and help. And I saw a separate note that you sent out, but do you think you have enough folks to help and volunteer? Do we need to see if I can round up or any other folks, or?
I think between staff and board that we should be good. Christina's, like I said, she's in charge of making sure the ice sculpture doesn't fall over. And
Okay, this just got a lot more complicated there.
And Derek, you'll have me and my +1. So
all right.
I just looked at the temperature. It's gonna be 73.
It's gonna be hot out.
I know.
So we're gonna have the shorts and t-shirts Christmas party.
Yeah.
Global warming.
With rain boots.
With rain, yeah, exactly.
Derek, as soon as Santa passes by my house, I can head over to the park.
So it's all Santa dependent.
Yeah,
let's hope he's sober this year.
yeah. True story.
Easy.
That's a
Okay.
joke. That's just a joke.
Is it the same one, Derek?
No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. Sounds like we're good for Santa Parade then. The next item, which we kind of moved up, is formerly number 3, discussion and consider recommendation of changes to fee schedule. That's the second page of the 2-page document that I handed out. And I know we discussed some of this on the other day with council and had a number of ideas that Derek and Christina were going to kind of go back and figure out what they think would work best from a administrative and financial way.
Yeah, so we put forth this proposed changes. This is just, this isn't final or doesn't have to be the exact numbers, but it is just something to look at. We're trying to balance making it easier on staff to manage, as well as making it fair and kind of consistent across the board.
So
Not-
we've got plenty of time.
Not having professional pass users being told that they could, use the barn, but then they might get booted out at the last second for a barn rental. Not abusing the professional pass system, but still trying to encourage them to use the park and, bring people to the park.
Okay.
So it's been a delicate balance, trying to find the exact way. But you can see what's before you and, make any comments, and then I can kind of answer questions on what the current system, how the current system works. And my biggest concern would be, well, you guys go ahead.
Derek, what is your recommendation? You have more familiarity with this than anybody in the room, and you know the differences between the people that can afford to pay a substantial amount of money coming into the park, and you know the percentage of people that a dues increase will affect to the point they can no longer come into the park. And to your point, there's this balance between activity in the park and revenue. And I'd just like to hear what your recommendation is.
Man, if I was being truthful, Bob, I don't know that I have the perfect solution. I want people to use the park. I want, when we have an exercise class, a lady uses the barn for an exercise class of 15 or 20 people.
Right.
She gets an incredible deal on that currently, but that promotes the barn, and we get barn rentals for those exercise class users. They want to rent it for their kid's birthday party. If we were to charge them, let's just say, $10 or $20 an hour, we would triple, quadruple, fivefold our current revenue. But we have to, if we're going to do that, we just have to find that price point that's, the right number for them to still manage their business.
And it's
But
going to
also
be different
doesn't
for the
make
different
sense.
types of businesses. you know, that price point, you know?
Yeah, but I don't want to create a system that is so hard for staff to manage. I
Agreed.
mean, honestly, like I would make just a flat hourly fee, the same Monday through Sunday, and I mean, I'd be okay personally with the resident and non-resident fee being the same, but I do feel like residents are kind of getting shortchanged on that a little bit as well. So I don't know. I mean,
Well, let me ask you this, Derek, let me ask you this question. I like the idea of having a consistent fee across all days of the week. To simplify this, the other question I've got, and I've not been part of the council meetings and I don't understand what the revenue goals are, but I do understand pricing a little bit. And, you know, I think what would be beneficial for us would be to have a pricing plan that says that we're gonna have, you know, an increase this year of a certain percentage and maybe the following year something, instead of doing all at one time, where the shock to the user is great. And if you do it over a little over a period of time where people understand the cost of living is going up, inflation is not transitory, it's here. And, you know, if we were to do that, I think it'd be more palatable. But I like the idea of being really consistent, you know, and simplifying that weekly rate to your point, so you can manage this thing. I don't know what the thoughts of everybody else are.
yeah, if I was to maybe piggyback on that, I would say, you know, we could keep something similar, if not exactly to the current system, and just implement a small hourly fee for the professional pass users. It would not be, like you said, a shock to their system, and we could gain some revenue and then give us another few months to iron out some firm proposals that we could, you know, look to institute at the start of 23, with kind of giving everybody a better heads up as to the changes we're going to make.
Hey, Derek, so when we're talking about, and I did notice, you know, kind of making a change from the professional to the photographer, videographer thing, it has crossed out there 2 professional passes under those. What's the 2 professional passes mean? Or what?
We used
What
to
did it
give out
mean?
to one for the photographer and one for the client, but now we just do one.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and we've talked about the scheduling software that isn't in place and is going to take time to develop. Do you anticipate that a lot of these issues with different fees will potentially go away when it does? So that, you know, in this thinking of this 2-step process, right? That we do something transitionally now with kind of keeping the structure the same, but maybe just juicing up the price a little bit with the anticipation of it buys us time until we have that scheduler in place. That makes it easy to easier. You know, somebody always has to code it and set it up that way. Is the feeling that the software is going to get us there if we do? Because you know, when I heard the public comment earlier, you know, again, are we trying to provide community access and capability, or are we trying to make it a small business incubator? You know, it is the thing, you know, and I think we want to keep it more to the community, but we, you know, it has provided good services and things like that coming in, you know, so you know, we may eventually want to get to that more complicated method, you know, because there are different types of users. I just don't know if we'll ever get there, if that software is really capable of that. And if not, then we still want to kind of remain somewhat simple.
Well, I don't want to eat up too much of the time, you know, discussing it. This is, I think, the second or third time. So, I mean, there's a sheet before you if you want to, propose changes or propose we table it. I'll go with whatever recommendations are made. I want to keep people at the park. I want to keep a fair and balanced system, but I want to make it easier on staff to manage at the same time and potentially increase our revenue a little bit. That looks good.
Derek, I'm all for let's try to figure out what to do. I think we should, honestly, I would put this, I want to get Parks Rec and Greenways kind of input on it, but I also think that with this public comment, I think council needs to talk about it. I don't think that the village is responsible for providing a place for people to have their business. I think it's nice, and I think that it's a great way to advertise it, and it is great that we can have some additional revenue, but I think it's more of a community park. It's not a place for people to go and be able to have, make money for themselves.
A business incubator, that was a
business
perfect way to
incubator.
put it, yeah.
But I do think that when people like that are using the park, it costs the village money to maintain the park. And therefore our prices have to go up. I think it's a twofold thing. And I think council should talk about it, because I'm more that they need to be paying more money for it. And I don't want to make it harder on staff. But we can sit here and talk about it, but ultimately, it's really going to be council's decision. So I'd almost just put this on our work session in January and let us talk about it, and then we can bring it back to Parks Rec and Greenway and see what they think about it after we've had at least a chance to really talk about it.
Well, the objective of this is revenue, correct?
Yeah, and again, if people are using it as much as it sounds like they're using it,
Well,
it's wear and tear on the park, and it's more maintenance and upkeep, and that costs money, and we have we all
wouldn't we
know.
rather have the park? I guess in my opinion, I'd rather have to repair and replace because people use the park
Yeah,
than
It'd be empty.
it be empty, and we've got this asset that's not being used, and it goes into disrepair from lack of use.
yeah, no, I agree with that.
So I guess I'm a little confused, because I thought initially when we kept getting this was a revenue opportunity to not to decrease usage of the park, but to figure out how we can balance usage and
Yeah.
increase
I
revenue.
think that's
Well,
right.
I think it was also a scheduling thing, because we're getting to the point now
Really complicated.
that it's, you're starting, he's starting to run into potential scheduling conflicts.
But we're gonna get that scheduled.
January 1st.
Yeah, but not tomorrow, that's, I think to
No,
his
but
point.
when will we have that?
It sounds
I think we need to make a
months.
decision by the next council.
That's the reason I think if we did this in steps, to your point, is to simplify it, increase to what Derek, I just go back to Derek because he deals in this every day, is to get the revenue that we think is reasonable and fair, and then stair step revenue down the road once we know how palatable this is, and not try to get it all at one time. I think that's a mistake, in my opinion.
So Derek, do you think, are these numbers your recommendation?
No, not specifically. It's a general idea of going to an hourly rate system, which we discussed, and taking that hourly rate and then applying that to the professional pass user. So instead of me loosely scheduling the barn for them, they would be quote unquote renting it for an hour for their, usage, hour and a half hour. I just personally, I think, $40 an hour is going to deter a majority of them away.
So what do you think would be? I think that's what Bob's asking is what do you recommend? Like, you talk to these people all the time.
Yeah.
Who's there, when they're there, how long they're there for. Like, what are your numbers that you recommend?
I would recommend for them to buy the professional pass as they have been doing, and then that would allow them to rent it for half price on a 1 hour basis during non-peak hours.
Which is how much?
Is that in there?
I'm
$20
confused.
an hour
So Derek,
on weekday mornings.
That's gonna.
Derek,
That's not going
I hate to give you a project, but could you give, and it would help me a lot, if you gave me, not today, but if you gave me an example of Activity X, and Activity X is currently paying $250 plus whatever the numbers are. But under your new plan, Activity X
Yeah, that.
is gonna increase revenue by this amount of money. So the council and the PRG can look at this and say, okay, is this a significant increase in revenue and does this make sense? And therefore, do we want to stair step it in 2023? It's very hard for me to understand the abstract of cost.
Yeah.
I would like
You
to-
want me to give you a quick one?
Yeah, I would
Yes.
just like to see the real numbers so that.
Okay,
We
so let's
broken it
just
down.
take,
Sorry?
We broke it
I'm
down.
gonna use,
Oh, okay, good, good.
I'm gonna use Lady Y, for
Okay,
example.
Right.
She hosts an hour exercise class out there 3 mornings a week.
okay.
Currently, she pays $250
Per year.
per year. If we were to charge her $10 an hour, that would be $1,560 in revenue, not including her $250.
20 an hour, right?
Well, that's at $10 an hour. So if we did, so that'd be $1,810.
Well, she wouldn't
That's
necessarily
20 an
have
hour.
the 250 though anymore, right?
I think they have to buy that
They'd
anyway.
still buy the
They'd still buy
professional
it.
pass.
Okay, but I thought that's why we were looking to call it
Because
a
it says
photographer.
I'm confused now.
Were you
Yeah.
still gonna
I'm
have them buy the
confused too.
professional pass?
That's the reason we need this on a piece of.
I thought the discussion was if we were going to an hourly rate for those professional purposes, that we would make the professional pass a photographer's pass, because they're not relying on any one facility generally, you know? Whereas,
They don't rent the barn, basically, or
yeah,
the
whereas,
shelter.
you know, the other ones were, and that's why
Yeah,
we would get rid of the professional pass, call it a photographer's pass, and then those people would just be
Yeah.
paying their hourly rates for whatever facilities we, you know, are designated
Yeah.
that they're reserving.
yeah.
Okay, but what I was saying is, if you look at the sheet in front of you, as an example, we would change everything to an hourly rate, let's just say $40 an hour,
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday. To me, that's very high
That
for
is.
someone.
Yeah.
So I'm proposing that you consider doing that at half price, but to get that half price rate, you need to buy that professional pass.
Okay, that,
The $250 a year. So if we charge $20 an hour, let's just say for Lady Y, she has 3 classes in there, 52 weeks a year, that's over $3,000 in revenue. Plus the $250, so, you know,
Versus-
$3,300 in potential revenue.
So
Versus 250.
versus the 250.
She's not gonna pay that, would be my guess.
If
I think she will.
no, she still would,
If she-
they're saying.
I'm just saying we had a
But
two
that
half.
gives them, by paying the
Yeah.
250, you get the half,
If she doesn't pay
You
the
get the
250,
half.
it's $40 an hour.
50% rate.
But here's my, okay, Derek, this year, just to make sure I'm clear, she's paying $250
Correct,
and that's it.
Yep.
correct.
What if we were to say,
It's a big difference.
what if we were to say, they pay the $250 rate just like they have been? For this year, it'll be 25% of the normal rate if you have that professional thing. And next year, it'll be 50%.
It's stair step.
Yes.
Going back
So-
and
so-
forth.
And that gives them a little bit of an increase. They got some skin in the game this year. They know where it's gonna be going, so they got a year to figure out something else if that's not a viable business model.
I mean, you know that she's charging $20 an hour for her exercise class, so that's one person.
Times 20 people is $400.
Cause it's one person that's like,
Yeah.
she's like, okay, that's my rental fee right there, $20.
Yes, yes, but I still like the.
No,
Yeah,
so this year it will be $10 an
That way
hour.
it's palatable, it's not
Next
all
year
at
it'll
one
be
time.
$20 an hour plus the professional pass.
Yeah.
If she doesn't wanna pay the professional pass,
Then it's
Lady
free.
Y, then it's $40 an hour.
Yeah.
I would also make a suggestion on just making it simpler, that you don't worry about legal holidays, just make them the Friday, Saturday rate. So you have two rates, you have a Monday through Thursday and a Friday, Saturday holiday rate. So you only have those two rates to keep in your head. Another simplification is that the resident rate is half the non-resident rate. And it's not. So, I mean, it's like I'm going, okay, 40 and 70 and just make it half. Yes.
As the person who's taking the record for decisions being made, I have no idea what to write down.
Okay.
Discussion.
I know.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
discussing
summarize.
numbers. How, can you,
Yeah, I
is
can
that
do that.
legit to
That's-
say that?
That's fine.
So Derek, I saw you with the thumbs up on the holidays treated as weekends.
And then what about the resident rate just being half of the non-resident, or the non-resident being double the resident? I don't
Yeah,
care.
that's
Yeah.
Pick one.
I think that's easier to.
And that just, then you almost can just remember a couple of numbers and you can do the rest of them in your head. And I do like that we've moved it to hourly instead of
Numbers are
4.
easier for. Say it again, Christina.
I do like that you moved it to an hourly rate instead of a 4-hour, even though. Block, right. Even though you were letting people do it hourly, that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Lot better.
All right. So do we need to summarize that for Austin?
So professional rate at $250 plus 1/4, 25% hourly is what we're talking about for next year.
25% of what?
Whatever they decide.
25% of the
hourly rate.
Of
the
$40, so it would be
standard
$10 an hour this year.
That's what they're recommending for the next calendar year.
25%
25%
of
and then to
$40
kind of
So
give
$10.
people a little bit of a break
Yeah.
before going to the full.
per hour.
So we're
Okay.
gonna stair step it.
And then 2023, it'll be $20 an hour plus the professional pass.
You'll just have to come back and amend the schedule next year.
Yeah, that's fine. But I would put these changes on our meeting, because you're right, Jamie, we've got, it's a
And
January 1st to.
Well, the second
December
price
31st.
And legal holidays to be treated as weekend
Weekends.
rates.
Weekend.
This is
Hold on a
their
second, hold on.
recommendation. Well, we can give it to you. Got it.
But year 2, I think we need to be flexible based on what we see in year
Yeah.
1.
So,
It's just yeah.
so we are still having different rates for different days of the week or different
Yeah,
holidays?
Monday
or-
through Thursday is a weekly rate, and then weekend and holidays are grouped together just to have 2 different sets of rates. Anybody who's using it to run a business will pay for a professional pass or a photography pass, and then they'll pay an hourly rate when they book it.
So what's the hourly rate
We'll
for
get
the weekend holiday?
But it's
It's still 25%.
25% of whatever council
so it would
sets it
be-
as.
$12.50. Is that right?
Just as like some background why
Yeah.
this came up and why Derek and I started talking about it too is he's really busy with scheduling all of these different classes and different things at the barn, and you know, we're so small in Marvin, and I'm like, you know, we need to think of ways to up our revenue because there's so many things we want to do, like a new playground and new things. And I was sitting there thinking about like ways to increase our revenue, and facility rentals are one of the biggest ways to increase revenue. We'll be able to have a facility rental when we get our new village hall. And so this is a great opportunity. These people are running and have flourishing businesses, and through COVID, they were it was so busy. And so I think like increasing revenue with rentals is a great opportunity for us, but also for them to keep running their businesses.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody disagrees with the idea. It's the details. That
Yeah, all the
we're
little.
trying to figure out, because we don't want
We want
somebody
it
to go
fair.
from I was paying $250 and now I'm paying $5,000. You know, that's
Exactly.
kind of shocking, right?
Yeah,
even if
shocks
they can
their
afford it.
system.
Yeah.
All right, we good?
I have 2 follow-up questions.
Okay.
So this is just the structure for people with a professional pass, correct?
Yes.
So how are normal rates changing for
hourly, $40 Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
Whatever he has here is what his suggestion was.
And is there a difference between professional pass holders that are a resident and are not a resident?
Yeah.
There is in the rental rates, but not in the professional pass fee.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's almost like the professional pass fee is
I might put a table in the
placeholder.
minutes, but okay.
Now you're kind of on the list, and we know that you're going to use the park, and then you add the hourly.
Yeah, the professional pass fee gives you the gate
I'll-
discounted rates.
I will put a general description of this in the minutes and then put the actual thing in when council decides.
Derek, do you know what we're changing everything to put in our agenda for next week?
Yeah, I'm taking notes. I would just ask, were you guys okay with Christina's recommendation of doing half versus 100% for resident versus non-resident?
Yes,
Yes.
makes sense.
Okay. So we're just gonna do 40 and 80 and then 50 and 100?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect.
I like it.
It's
It's just easier.
Where-
And then,
40, 80,
and then
200
I guess my next question is, are we doing these minimums? These time minimums, because we're talking
the 2 and
$20,
4.
so it's really gonna be $40.
Yeah, that helps staff when booking, for weekends when it's popular.
But what about during the week when they're having like
40, 50,
classes?
100, that's 40, 50.
No, just 1 hour.
Okay, so change that.
Just leave it.
And so if you combine the Friday, Saturday, the weekend, and the legal holiday, you've got 2 hour minimum on one and a 4 hour minimum on the other. So you have to decide which one you want to pick.
3?
I would just stick with the 2 and not worry about it. But
The
that's-
problem that 2 runs into is like the setup and
Clean
clean
up.
up because most
That's
people
what I'm
want
thinking, 3.
the 2 hour party, the
That's what I'm
30
thinking.
and 30.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm
okay.
thinking 3.
Right, Eric?
Then
Isn't
you've
that what
got-
people said?
Then make it 4.
I mean, that's,
say just do a 3-hour minimum Friday through Sunday and be done with it.
And holidays.
yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Well, are we doing away with the whole holiday thing?
Yeah,
Well,
those are all together.
Yeah,
Yes.
weekend holidays
Weekend
are all
holidays
gonna be
combined.
great, yeah.
So when you have Monday, holiday, what is that? Like Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Yeah.
Then that
Labor
would
Day.
be the weekend
That would be
rate.
a weekend rate.
Or if July 4th falls on a Thursday, then that's the weekend
Weekend
rate.
rate, exactly.
We good?
Yep.
Holiday
Okay.
weekend.
I like this. I think this is good.
All right.
All right, get a little type up and take it to you guys for final approval.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Send that to me too, Derek, please.
He's got little coming out of his head.
A little bit.
He'll be fine.
He will be
We'll
fine.
help him out. We'll get him all situated.
All right, the next item on
Thank you,
the
guys.
agenda
Thank you, Derek.
is unfinished business item moved up to number 3, which is discussion of the Marvin Eford Park signs.
Yeah, they help.
Have you got a?
Oh, I got those handouts in the office. Let me grab them.
Are they up?
Nope.
No. Are they too big?
Nope.
Are they awesome?
I think it can be.
Oh, shit. I'm tired.
The signs are ordered, the
I
signs are
think they
in.
can be.
But I wanted
I
to
thought that said beware.
You really?
kind of
I did too.
in with the entrance, so Bob is gonna coordinate with an Eagle Scout to really make this entrance nice.
Awesome.
We have I'm working with an Eagle Scout. His name's Eric Brockman. And the photo that you have in front of you, Derek and I are recommending we change it to some degree. We think the 6x6 post with the crossbar makes a lot of sense with the signs hanging. But Eric Brockman, I don't think he realizes how difficult it will be to lay that concrete in and do stone facing, of which he's never done either one, by the way. And Derek and I, we want the sign to be very attractive on the outside of the park. And we're concerned, I know I'm concerned about the quality of work should he do a stone face. So what Derek and I thought about, and would like y'all's input on, is not to do that stone base, but to put the post into the ground and possibly surround it with pea gravel or define it and then do something maybe with some landscaping bushes around it to make it attractive.
Is he building just the thing to hold the sign that we've already ordered, or?
Correct.
Okay.
He would build the frames and then put everything in. And I'd like to get your thoughts on it, because I just think that if he were to put the concrete in and do the stone work, we might end up with something that I know he would be well intended and want it to come out well, but it may not be up to the standard we may want. So would you be comfortable with the posts going directly into the ground, with the area being defined with pea gravel and proper landscaping? And that's the question. And it becomes, and one of the reasons this came up, I brought it up to Derek, is it becomes a budget issue, because Derek mentioned to me I said, well, why don't we do the sign, Marvin, and do it right, and then we give him a project inside the park, like a kiosk, the information kiosk we've been talking about, is give him a project like that, and then Marvin do this sign. So, if we're comfortable with him doing the sign, if you're comfortable with him doing the sign, the stonework, I'm going to give him the go-ahead this afternoon.
No, you don't feel comfortable with him doing it though.
I think it's a lot more work than what he thinks it is.
Stonework, no.
What do you mean?
I would not let somebody that did not do that professionally do it.
Yeah,
I've done that kind of work, and it's not easy
It's a lot more difficult than it looks.
to make it pretty.
Yeah.
Make it look
So the
good.
question becomes, if we don't do the stonework, Derek and I want to make sure this is extremely attractive. But we think possibly by, defining it with, pea gravel, whatever.
Yeah.
And then proper landscaping, it can still be very, very.
You can even
attractive.
define it with larger rocks. I mean, like
Yeah,
the bigger
yeah.
one. My only, and I assume you thought of this, is that the sign is up high enough that it's not on the ground, right?
Oh, it'll be up
So it's
high.
almost like it's hanging from this stuff.
Correct.
Right, so it's up higher. 'Cause
Well,
that was
it'll
the
be-
point of this, right? That it's
Well,
up.
it's
off the
up,
ground.
and it'll be up, I don't have the exact dimensions, but we'll have it,
However high it is.
high enough
And it's
off
a
the ground.
double-sided thing, right? So it's facing this way, not that way.
Yeah.
It's double-sided, and he's gonna
I
have.
still drive past the thing.
Well, it's 2 sheets, what it is, guys, and everybody, this is not a wood sign.
Right.
It's 2 sheets of plexiglass that'll be connected to a frame that we create. And, I can't think of the name, but the frame will be connected
To
to.
the big
To the
bolts
top,
that hang out, and
correct.
it'll be on it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the way it'll work.
Just one quick question
Yeah.
again.
So
The placement of this thing and turning it, right?
It's gonna be vertical to the road.
Yeah, when you come out of there and you're looking to the
Can you
left,
see out?
are you gonna be severely inhibiting?
No.
Okay.
John, went out there and Hunter gave me
Very good
the measuring wheel. From the center of Newtown to the fence, 64 feet. The easement from the center of the road is 30 feet. So we have 34 feet from the easement.
I'm just talking about line of sight.
Sight.
I
Yeah,
know,
see the
I
Those
know.
cars go.
Well, I'm trying to address that. So we're gonna be well off the road with the sign. And it should not, in fact, and be far enough back that if you're exiting, or particularly exiting, you're gonna be past the sign when you make your left or right leaving the
Yeah.
park. You'll be able to see well around it.
And I bring that up only
No,
because
that's
the
good.
woods, even that corner wood line was an issue at one point.
And here's another issue. Derek and I have talked about it. And I'd encourage everybody to go out there and before we start doing this. But if you're coming from, if you're going toward Providence Road, Eford's on the right, and there's a stand of trees to the right, and then immediately past the stand of trees, there's a big cedar sitting there. And then you've got the road, the entrance into Eford Park. The ideal place, in my opinion, is exactly where that cedar sits as we speak. Because if we go too far toward the trees, you won't, and when it's
It
leafed
just
up,
pops up on
you won't see the sign. You won't.
Go ahead.
So my recommendation is we move it further up toward the entrance to the park, so it's away from that those trees if you drive by, and remove the cedar and put it right there. Now Derek doesn't, not that he disagrees with me, but he'd rather not remove the cedar. So if somebody's got a better idea, I'd certainly like to hear it.
From that location, how do you see it coming the other direction?
Oh, it'll be easy to see
Okay.
from the other direction.
Can you, and that was gonna be my question, which side of the driveway
The west side.
are you planning on having it?
If
Is
you're
there-
facing the
towards-
is there
driveway,
not enough-
it'll be to your right.
Is there not enough space on the east side?
That's, no.
No.
It's all overgrown, and that, there's that fence that we have
Okay.
there that kind of
Okay.
comes up pretty close.
Did we lose Derek?
No, he's there. He just got his camera off.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just doesn't want us to see what he's doing.
Okay. No.
Oh, that got him back.
I mean, I defer to you guys on like where you want to stay it. I mean, you guys know better than I do.
Yeah, I would need to go up there again physically just
Yeah.
to see it, so I'll probably
Oh,
stop on
I'd
my way back
appreciate it.
out.
Yeah. And give me your thoughts on it.
Because I've also got to think about the fact, even if I go and do that and pull out of the park right now, where I'm envisioning that thing, I'm in a truck, you know?
You need
So
a
that's
motor car.
different from somebody else that's, you know, in a.
Maybe
in a
Jamie will
small-
let you borrow his little Mercedes and you go check it out.
Well, the way I really appreciate everybody going out there, but when I did the little, you know, pulled in the park, pulled out and envisioned where the sign was gonna be.
Yeah.
I was gonna be beyond the sign. When I
You were
made
gonna
that
be-
No matter
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah, whether I was in a car or not, but I want, you know, please go out and verify
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
If I can add to when Bob went out there, basically you got to think about setbacks and stuff from the right of way, especially with the size of the sign, line of sight, and where he identified was fully compliant. Slash, I think it even was a little further with compliant.
DOT.
I mean, well, with our ordinance, DOT, it's outside of the DOT, so it's a 60-foot right of way. So take 30 from the center line,
Yeah.
and then our ordinance states, did I say 10, 15 feet from the right of way line. So it's essentially it's 45 feet from like the center.
Do
And
we have that much room to?
We got
yeah.
64 feet.
You've got-
We've got 64 feet from center line to fence.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So there's about a 30-foot area, 20 to 30-foot area of where it could go, and but I just keep that in
Size of
mind.
this,
This
How big's the sign itself?
4 by
8 feet, 6 feet.
I don't know.
Derek, how wide is the sign? It's just the sign,
Oh, the sign I think is 4 by 6.
6 feet wide?
I'm pretty sure.
So then you
Derek-
add another,
2 feet on the
Derek.
other
at
side.
least, yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me. I think it's a 4 by 6 sign. I measured it.
Yeah.
So this makes it
So
about a
it's
10.
It'll be 10 feet total.
Roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that leaves us, if it was kind of almost up to the fence, you know, that'd leave us 54 feet still to be able to.
Yeah, but I would pull it out as far as you can because I still drive by that road. And I've gone in that park.
That's the reason I want everybody to go out there and look.
Yeah.
And to make sure, because where I recommended it's where that cedar tree is.
I'll go look for the cedar tree.
And it one day, and if you think forward, there's a pin oak that'll be right behind the sign if we put it in, that we can limb the lower limbs
Yeah,
off,
limb it
and
up.
one day it could be really, really attractive.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you can look
Hey,
up the tree.
Oh,
Not cedar.
I see the tree lighting ceremony. Do we have one of those at the park? The
Sign?
tree lighting ceremony signs?
No.
Derek?
You're on mute.
I think. He's not really, but.
We can't hear him.
He's got no
So,
sound
John-
coming through.
John,
I can't hear you.
I need a recommendation so I can give it to Eric Brockman
Yeah.
and let him know, well, his goal, just to let everybody know, and I'm not saying we have to go with his goal, but he wanted to have everything completed by January 31.
Okay.
And I don't think that's gonna be possible, but I need a
Unplug them and
recommendation
plug them
from,
back in.
I need a recommendation from the committee
Yeah.
as to us getting back together on this so that I can give him some direction in terms of timing and whether we can move forward.
I can See, for me, I would just do the concrete pad and think that was cool enough, but other people like more decorative things, but I would not do the stone. I mean, it looks good here, but I would only do that if there was a professional doing it. Because that's not easy to do well.
I do like the idea of having some like rock, stone.
Yeah, you can do the bigger, almost like riprap, the big stones and
Not
rocks.
riprap, though.
Well, but
River
big
rock,
rock,
like the
yeah.
big river rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Not just
give it
pea gravel.
give it that state park feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going after.
Or you do a ring of like the river rock with pea gravel in.
Something like that.
Yeah.
To keep the weeds
Right.
But
there.
I don't.
Yeah, pea gravel doesn't seem to keep the.
I
weeds
love
out of
that.
the house, so.
But I'm with Christina.
Well,
Let's do
Well, see,
professional.
that's where Derek and I are because,
Yeah,
you know, I think he's biting off more than he can
I agree.
chew.
He's
So-
gonna find digging the holes for those posts to be quite enough for him.
Right now.
Dug some holes in this
He may
dirt.
need an auger.
Yeah, he might.
All right, what question do we have for Derek? He can.
Well,
he
I
can
just-
talk.
Well, the
So
only
what was
thing
the
I was
sign?
gonna say is that if we
Oh.
currently have a sign out at the park, is if we just put it on 2 posts and put it where we think we would want it.
Then you can see.
And then as we stop by to look at it and pull around, we can kind of see what it looks like. You know what I'm saying, Derek?
Do a mock-up,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so do you think you could do that with the current sign we have for the tree lighting ceremony? Just put 2 posts in and put it that way on the road?
I'll get with Bob and try to mark it as close to that spot that we're talking about for the permanent sign.
So really fast, what's the decision?
I don't know.
Uh,
Other than we're not
From,
doing stuff.
from,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
from a design perspective, I think we're good with a combination of river rock and pea gravel or something.
Whatever you need to do to make
underneath
that
it.
look chunky.
To look attractive.
Yeah. I just think the big rock will look more like this, and it'll be blocky and big and get your attention.
So, but I just need some direction here to tell Eric Brockman if and when he can get going on this thing.
Yeah.
Well, if that is the design idea, then he can go start.
But we need to figure out where we're gonna put it.
Where is the
Yeah,
next problem?
That's the problem.
But he can still be like planning that that's what it's gonna look like. The
Well,
big rock underneath.
he's already done that.
Okay, then,
So he can go into acquisition. I'm gonna give him the go-ahead
Yeah.
to begin the project.
then we just gotta figure out.
Less
where.
the stone, and you're gonna put the posts into the ground, and I'll explain to him height and depth to him, so he
Yeah.
gets that right
So when do you want us to get back to you on location?
as soon as possible.
Saturday?
Yeah, if by,
Oh, yeah, most of us are
So we're
gonna
gonna
be
be
there
there.
Saturday.
yeah, if you can get back to me by Monday next week after you being up there on Saturday, that'd be great. And I can let him know, say, hey, you
Okay.
can start your, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
So we just gotta figure out location.
yep.
Yep.
Well, we're all gonna be out there, so we can all look. And if we can
Individually.
get that
Or in
sign.
groups of 2.
Yeah.
Well, we're all gonna be
Otherwise, it
out there
constitutes a
anyway,
meeting, yeah.
so
Or-
we just can't talk about it. We can look
Correct.
at it,
And just
not
remember,
talk about
and
it.
please remember, the trees are gonna have leaves on them, so.
So look where the limbs
So
are. I know they'll
in
be
the
bigger.
spring, summer, and
Yeah.
early fall. Okay, all right.
Thank you,
I think that looks good.
Sounds good, Derek. Yeah, we,
That looks really nice.
I do too.
we're good.
And all those rocks will be a nice habitat for little creatures.
Snakes.
Snakes are good.
and we probably want to show up early
God.
to do that. Otherwise, it'll be dark anyway.
True.
Snakes are good.
Okay.
All right,
The only
Derek.
good
Yeah, we'll
snake is
provide
good
Bob some more
Yeah.
feedback on after we take a look at it on Saturday.
You need to be educated.
They need to be
I
eradicated.
don't think Derek cares anymore.
All right, next item on the agenda, which I think we'll need. Oh wait, no.
Belle
The
Grove
next
Trail.
is Belle Grove Trail update.
All right, so this should be kind of quick, but just to kind
That'll be a
of
change for this.
refresh your guys' memory is Belle Grove originally, when approved, had a 6-foot wide crushed mulch, basically nature trail that the developer was supposed to put in that started off of Bonds Grove and kind of weaved all the way back through the development. Originally going to tie into our Greenway system, all that. Some of the property owners out there had some concerns over it, came to coffee with council. I think this board as well as council ended up deciding to ask the developer to hold off on putting the trail in and make sure it was on the plat and ask for a fee in lieu for the development of the trail. The developer got back with me with a fee. He quoted it at $8,650. The trail is already on the final plat, already deeded to us, or on the final plat has all that. The only thing from a legal standpoint is, I guess that, I mean, this is a question for Chaplin, for council to ask Chaplin, is that since the developer didn't put it in, because the way that it read in the construction documents was that he's supposed to kind of weave in and out, you know, kind of do what as minimum impact to that area, was that there's really kind of no guidance on, I guess, when we put it in through that, because I guess it's not, unless we had it fully staked. Because like most of our trails, for example, that we put in have a 30-foot wide
Is it all within a common area of that neighborhood?
Kind of. It weaves in and out of their tree preservation area. There's a 30-foot wide Greenway strip that finishes the connection that runs about behind like 5 different properties. That's 30-foot wide, but like the other part of it is not. But that's not, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it can all be figured out and all tied in together. It's just, I don't have that legal answer at the time. But it's on the plat, shows it, and I think what the plat and original deed just said, I think it's a 10-foot wide maintenance easement. So we have that, so we have 10 feet to work with along those parameters if we decide to put that trail in.
So it'd be a 10-foot wide trail, is what you're saying?
It'd be a 6-foot wide,
6 foot wide, but we have a
6-foot wide
10-foot
trail, but a
easement.
10-foot easement.
So you're just merely telling us this so that you know that we've gotten what he wants to give us, and we just need to get with Chaplin to make sure we're good to go.
Yes, well, so according to our ordinance, basically the PRG board needs to make a recommendation to council to accept the fee in lieu. I just got this yesterday. I'm not an expert on it, as in on the cost.
Derek, how much does crushed concrete cost per
It's not crushed
I know
concrete.
it's not. I just want to know because that's what we'll end up putting in. Because we're not going to put in that mulch junk. Derek, how much does a linear foot for the crushed concrete cost, or linear yard, or whatever we do it in?
Roughly between $9 and $12 a linear foot, depending on the quantity and current material pricing. But you can go between basically $10.
Linear
Give or take a
foot.
little bit.
Yeah,
Okay. Do we know how?
3.
How long?
Well, it's 28.
28 linear feet.
Yeah, and that their unit price was quoted at 3 just because of what was originally approved. But this development was approved before we had our Greenway standards in place. So the opportunity is that we get to put in the long run
28 what?
2,800
Thank you. Yeah.
linear feet.
Thank you. I'm like 28. I'm like, I'm not so good at math, but that doesn't seem right. Okay.
In the
800 times 10.
I know. I was like, that's only
Well,
$280. They're giving us $8,000. That's
2,800
good.
linear
Sorry.
feet times $10 a square foot is $28,000.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems that they're offering 8.
Yeah.
and
Which is totally two different materials.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is that nasty
understood.
mulch that we let them do.
Yeah,
Almost-
years ago.
Yeah.
like I said, this provides for the village an opportunity to receive some type, instead of having that put in.
And ripping it
And
out.
then, because we, in the long run, we have the maintenance, we're responsible for the maintenance and all that in
And
the long
that's
run.
what we would do. Same with what we did at Amber Meadows. We'd pull it out and put it in the crushed concrete. So I'd much rather get a little bit of money for it and then just do it ourselves when we're ready to
Well,
do
but
it.
the fee in lieu, though, means we're taking that money, and it's not just the developer not doing it, it's us not having those trails.
No, we still have those trails.
It's still on the.
It's already dedicated on the plat and everything.
Yeah.
The way the ordinance basically states is that the subdividers, it basically says designate they're on the area or areas to be dedicated pursuant to this section. If the subdivider makes the payment in lieu of the dedication of the land and letter that effect is submitted with, it's basically saying that during our normal development process, this is when that's typically done, is that they dedicate on the plat to the village of Marvin for recreational purposes and whatever, and then pay a fee in lieu. And we have a formula, but this is kind of since they were supposed to do this, this just was kind of specific to that project.
And kind of the reason that we're doing this, one is the material, but two is there's a bunch of neighbors behind it that don't really want it, and so we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do, and we just said, just give us some money. That'll give us some time to figure out what we're gonna do. Because
Oh,
they've
okay,
also
okay.
said
Yeah.
they're gonna put in a sidewalk that we could literally do, we could get to the power line behind
Okay,
it.
I thought we were talking about the fee in lieu in kind of abdicating.
No, this fee and lieu will be specifically for the development of that trail when we get
Okay.
to
When
it.
we're ready to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey Derek, can you mute yourself?
Sorry.
That's okay.
So if there's no other question, all I need is a recommendation either for the PRG to recommend that council approve or accept that fee and lieu, and then potentially that will be on council's agenda
Okay.
probably in January. I'm not gonna bring it to you guys next week.
Do I hear a motion on the table that
On the
the
consent agenda.
Village of Marvin
I've gotta figure out
Council
two things.
accept
That's no point.
the fee in lieu of
$8,600.
$8,650 as a fee in lieu regarding the Belle Grove Trail development?
So moved.
Second.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm so out of it right now. I'll figure it out later.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, sure.
Pay attention, Austin.
I'm
We're
sorry.
still in a meeting.
Do I hear a motion on the table for the Village of Marvin Council to accept the fee in lieu of $8,650 for the development of the Belle Grove Trail
So you're-
from the developer?
So you're recommending that they accept it?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Can I just state real quick? I gotta go to a meeting. I got the sketch plan on the agenda, I think, after Marvin Day.
Yep.
If I'm not back, just call me, or I don't know. I'll be back. I gotta go. I gotta go to this meeting with the engineers at the cottages
Okay. Where are the cottages?
at Marvin Gardens.
Oh, is that what they're calling them?
Yeah. So I should be back. I should be back shortly, but
Oh, I mean, that's like we're doing Marvin Day and then we're doing that.
We'll need
yeah.
Christina
I
next.
should be like 20-30 minutes.
We're gonna need you in like 5.
You think we're getting through Marvin Day in 5 minutes?
Yeah. What do you need to talk about?
Next item on the agenda
No.
is the discussion of 2022 Marvin Day celebration.
Could you talk her Sarah?
She's here.
She's right there. Hey.
Hey.
Good morning, Christina.
How are y'all?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Super duper. Do I not get one?
Yeah, I passed 3 of us.
Oh. Bob was hiding it from me. He wasn't gonna let me have one.
That's right.
He's like that.
Keep you from getting in trouble.
Oh, let's get you a demerit.
Right.
A demerit. I heard that word forever. That's for you, by the way. I'm done with it. I'm done with you. But you need to look at that check. Well, see, that's why I look at it.
All right, so I'm gonna take over this part of the meeting if that's okay with you guys. Talked to John earlier this morning about kind of the organization of Marvin Day. So what we're gonna do real fast is kind of go over just a couple of things. I know y'all typically will just do, if anybody has any updates or announcements or anything pertaining to their individual item. So we're gonna go through these sheets real fast. This is gonna be a better way for us to organize either, not only the discussion, but the subcategories of the event as well. Once we go through it one time, I think y'all will.
Do you have an extra one for
understand it.
Jamie?
I don't know. Understand it a little bit better. Austin, if you just want to get yours, you can, we can make copies.
We can share. I need.
So the very first sheet that went around, it looks like this. Y'all have seen this before. Just kind of a all-day event. The second thing, and what we're going to do to structure this conversation is we're only going to talk about what sheet we're on at this given time. If you have another idea that you want to come back to, I'm going to write a note for it and we'll come back to it at a later time in this discussion. But we're only going to have conversation about what sheet we're typically on right now. So, meet and greet. Does anybody have any updates on that? It's on the back of the sheet.
Okay, so Austin's in charge of it. So when are we gonna get a schedule of who needs to be there and when?
That's a Derek question. Is he still on the call?
Yes, he's just.
I'm here.
I do not like the angle of this camera.
We can put a tentative schedule together. relatively soon.
I'm just
Did
asking.
you hear the question, Derek?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, let's see. I mean, we're all gonna make ourselves available for the whole day, right?
Yes.
So I would say by the end of April.
Okay.
we'll lay out a pretty tentative schedule.
I mean, I think it needs to be more than tentative by April. I mean, it's like who needs to be at, you know, what times are we gonna open up Village Hall? Who needs to be there to, you know,
So I'll answer that question. Once we have all of these sheets completed, you'll know what sheets apply to you and what sheets don't. For example, meet and greet, I'm not sure who's committed to this, Austin. If there's any other council members, obviously, that would be committed to it, they would need to know who's, what time they need to be there. So Derek and Austin, or y'all that have the charge events, I don't know if y'all wanna do a separate calendar for the people that are responsible and make sure that they know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be where they're supposed to be at what time, so that people know the subcategories, when they're gonna be there.
That's not a problem. That's pretty much my job anyway.
okay. With that being said, because we're gonna be floating around the village all day, just make a note that we need to put out quorum notice for every board.
Yeah, there'll be one for the entire
I'm
day. But it's largely a social event. You're not doing business either.
I guarantee that at some point, somebody's gonna ask us about what's going on in the village, and there's gonna be like,
A quorum.
there's gonna be like, we're gonna be at the park together, or we're gonna be at Village Hall together, and somebody's gonna ask a question. So we just need to, not that we're making decisions, but somebody's gonna ask a question.
Okay? Does anybody have any other comments or questions, concerns about the meet and greet?
Have we reached out to Gene Stowe yet?
It's on my list.
Okay.
And is that listed on here?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we close that door?
Please.
All right.
I'm joking.
Walkathon. Derek is the charge person for that. Any updates on that?
I don't have any updates.
No, no.
Are we doing, Derek, are we doing a, like a registration fee?
Does anybody have any experience with a walkathon that can tell me how that would normally?
Not a walkathon, but with a 5K, we used a run sign up for that.
I mean, I'm okay not having anything and just taking off this, we'll raise money for the Raptor Center.
And just have a donation box.
I mean, if anybody wants to make a donation, we can have it at the park there, but I don't think I think we're, again, we want to make it really nice. I think we're starting to overcomplicate some things. So I would just take that part off.
Yeah.
If everybody's okay with that.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah. You
Bob?
can have a bucket at the.
I mean, I think we can have somebody put together a really nice like donation box and have it at the park for, you know, the Raptor Center. But I think trying to get people registered is going to be a lot more work and a lot more
Yeah.
time.
Kim, you are, you're in connection with the Raptor Center, right?
Yep.
Will you see if they could do like a QR code? We just put it on a flyer.
Yes, I can. Let me find my
I made it to
page.
their Venmo account.
Hang on.
Derek and Jamie, I'm just letting y'all know just procedurally, what I'm doing right now is taking notes as to the next steps remaining, so that I'm not gonna be here moving forward with these type of meetings, so this is y'all's responsibility. So what I've done is crossed out the raise money for the Raptor Center, put donations only, and then the steps remaining, someone needs to be putting together a donation box, and then Councilmember Vandenberg needs to get with the Raptor Center to create a QR code. So someone needs to update these sheets so that next time they go around, it's listed on there like that. Everybody good?
Yep.
Any other questions, comments, concerns about the walkathon? Nope. Okay, closing that door. Health fair. Derek is in charge on that one, it looks like. Any updates?
Not from my end.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Blood drive, Jamie's in charge of that. Any updates there?
No, ma'am.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Nature walks. /park. That would be Christina.
/observe.
Observe nature.
Tree.
Tree.
Wait, did we skipped over the disc golf?
Horse.
We haven't gotten there yet.
I don't see.
Am I looking at the wrong one?
We're going through these sheets.
Oh, we're going to shoot.
Yeah, I don't have anything to update there.
Anybody
Hey,
else?
do you have anybody that's work that you know is gonna like be there with you during these times?
I don't yet, but I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not just gonna be me.
So this will be a good opportunity for you to like take this and kind of fill it in.
Absolutely, right.
And then once you get the fill in, if you want to send it to either Jamie or Gretchen, I don't know how y'all want to work that, but it can be updated.
One of the things that I might do, and this is my only concern about not having people register for the walkathon, is I might do an Eventbrite kind of thing where they have to register to, if somebody shows up, I'll still walk them through. But that way you have a feel for, is it 30 people showing up, or 2 or 1 or 0, whatever. The walkathon could be the same problem. Do suddenly 5,000 people show up to want to walk?
Man, that'd be awesome if they
Yeah,
did.
it'll be an awesome problem, but you wouldn't be prepared for it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Just registration, I might do.
Derek and Jamie, if you want to update it and just say to consider later, Eventbrite registration.
Or something like that.
And then y'all can talk about that again at a later date. Any other questions? T-shirts and logos. This kind of goes along with the whole event, but I know that you had kind of been in charge of that, and y'all decided what you wanted to, the logo.
Oh yeah, you think you'll have new color, like optional colors by like the January
Oh, yeah.
PRG
yeah.
meeting?
I would have had them today, but
You know,
it's like
what
what
we
color?
did. Well, I don't know what color.
Give me some ideas on colors.
Gray.
Pink.
Gray.
I think
I
it's
saw
just
a cool
any.
one with like gray
Oh
and
yeah,
yellow.
gray and yellow. He
Looks
looked
really
he
cool.
looked mean, but like make him look happy. Like he was really, the colors were really cool. No, they were. He was
Okay.
just a mean owl. Are we calling him Marv? Sorry.
Marv
Sorry.
and Owl.
Sorry.
That's his name.
Marv.
Middle initial
I think
N.
Marv is fine.
That was painful.
I don't know about going
I'm here for
beyond.
y'all then.
Otis.
I like more.
Please don't call me Marv.
Otis is good.
Otis is
Orlando.
Owen the
Trump and
Owl.
Andy Griffith.
I said Owen, but nobody liked
Why
that.
wouldn't we call him Marvin?
Why wouldn't we?
Oliver. Oscar.
I like Marv.
I like Marv better.
Well,
Marv?
I mean, something.
Marv the
tied to
Owl?
Every time you say Marv, I think of the bandit from Home Alone.
Oh, I love that movie. That's good. Okay, let's call Marv. I'm in for that. Everybody in for that?
Yeah.
Okay, Marv the Owl. Okay. So let's get rid of the N. Get rid of the N.
And then I had a quick question on this. Are y'all interested in buying a owl suit?
Heck yes. Yes.
Only-
Yes. Only if Austin wears it.
And he's gonna look good in it.
You can eat all you
Do I have
want.
the right to protest?
Just think of it this way, it's not an elf outfit. That's the way I'd look
I'm
at
gonna
it.
assign another task on here, Derek and Jamie, that steps remaining. Austin to look up owl suits and report back to you guys.
Okay.
What a job you have.
Just looking them up. It's alright. It'll be okay. It'll be alright.
Nobody will know who's in the outfit.
Move on.
I mean, I'll find a place that'll do the t-shirts. That'll be easy. We'll just have to do a design for it.
Okay. That was gonna be my next question.
So, okay, so you're
Are we gonna do like a front logo and then like a back one with all the sponsor names?
That's whatever you want. Or a big one on the front and sponsors on the back.
No, I
Whatever.
don't like big on the front.
Okay.
Like little on the front,
Little
big
on
on
the
the
front,
back.
big on, okay, that's fine. Whatever y'all want.
All right, so Christina Culp is gonna design the t-shirt and find a vendor.
She's not gonna design it, but she knows somebody that will. Yes.
You'll take care of that.
Yes, got it.
Okay. Right on top of that rose.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to fireworks. Jamie is in charge of that. Jamie, can't remember one. So, anybody have anything on that?
Nope.
They'll need a TUP.
Oh, I'm sorry. Going back to the t-shirts, we will need a budget for that. T-shirts aren't free.
We need budget for t-shirts and we need TUP
We gotta
for
decide how you
fireworks.
wanna, budget, and do you wanna sell them or give them away, or whatever you wanna do there. Yeah, that's.
So,
I think that's gonna have to be a combination of both, don't you?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
so steps remaining, need to figure out, the budget I would assume Jamie needs to figure that out, and then,
One teacher.
process for selling or giving them away, y'all can talk about that. But if you can add that on your steps remaining, y'all can talk about that later.
And you'll get the pricing of, how many we need to order for this price? Okay. When you get that, you can just email it over to me. Okay.
On the firework, is anything else on t-shirts?
Oh, this is good.
All right, fireworks, on steps remaining, if y'all can put
TUP.
TUP, yeah.
One question about that though.
Pick up pile at the village.
The fireworks would be occurring there at the high school. That's not actually Marvin, so would you need
TUP
it?
from Union County.
Yeah.
And then we're also gonna need to
Good
add
job, John. It's always thinking.
them to our insurance. If
I was
y'all
gonna
add
say
that.
the insurance is a huge issue here.
Everything.
And then you might wanna put in the steps remaining, just parentheses, needs to be done by, I would think,
Oh, like March.
before then, I would.
Yeah, you guys are really
February.
pushing the deadline there. I would do
I would
it as
say
soon as
February,
possible.
January, February.
Latest, yes.
Did y'all get that on steps remaining, people?
Christina, just.
You guys know that Jamie's not doing that.
Huh?
Jamie Lyon's not doing that.
So somebody needs to be assigned to that.
Like, staff's gonna have to do that.
Is fireworks something we have to do?
No.
I know I keep saying this over and over and over, and I don't think it's getting any traction, but we keep adding and adding and adding to this event. And I'm really concerned about, one, the budget, number two, the execution.
Yeah, fireworks are gonna be a hole in the budget.
And I'm looking at it just from an executional perspective, making sure it's safe, getting it coordinated. I mean, with the fire departments and everything, and there's a lot of moving parts, I'm assuming, that go with that. And I just, again, want to caution that, this is our first time out, and I would rather do fewer things extremely well than keep adding and adding to this thing.
The only thing that I
That's
will
just me.
say is that I know that some of the council members have already gotten the sponsorship letters out, and we did include in there that they would be heavily recognized in those firework displays.
Okay.
So that may be a sticking point for those potential sponsors. I guess we can come back to that once we figure out who the sponsors are gonna be and if that's really a concern of theirs.
Yeah.
So until then, I say we still plan it.
Okay.
The deadline for sponsors, I think, is at the end of this month.
Yeah, which I don't think we've gotten any. No, yeah.
So if we don't get any, we can just X that out. I mean, if that's what y'all wanna do.
Well, I'm just suggesting to everybody once again that
So I'm gonna put steps remaining, and I'm just gonna put reassess.
I think it's gonna also depend on how many sponsors we get. If we don't have the money to do it, then
Yeah.
I'll say reassess January 1st after sponsor.
And for me, it's not a money issue. For me, it's an executional issue.
But the companies are gonna execute that. The companies that do this, they're gonna have, make sure that, all the safety stuff is done, so that's really taken out of our hands. We just basically hire them, pay them the money, and they take care of everything else.
Okay, going back to the TUP, somebody from staff needs to be designated for that because Jamie's, Councilmember Lyon's not gonna do that. I can do the insurance. But Derek, do you wanna designate someone for the TUP with Union County?
I'd recommend Hunter. Please
I'm
explain.
gonna let Derek decide.
That's fine with me. I appreciate it. Austin?
I bet Hunter appreciates it too.
What is a TUP?
He left, it's his fault. If he
temporary use
leaves, he gets
permit.
volunteered for everything.
That's right.
Temporary
Well,
use permit.
his name isn't on much
Temporary
yet,
use
so.
permit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Derek, if you wanna give that assignment to
Sorry.
him so that it's pretty clear what he needs to do, that would be great. You good to go, Derek?
Bueller,
Good to go.
bless you.
All right, any other thing on fireworks?
Thank you.
Car show. Joe and Bob. Any updates on that?
Not this Bob.
Questions, comments? Okay. Disc golf tournament. Derek, any updates there?
Just that we would not be doing a disc golf tournament. I spoke with people with a couple other parks and rec departments, and when they do something like this, it's more of an informal promotion of the course, kind of come and play at your leisure. We can promote it, to come out that week and submit your scores, and we want to come up with a prize for somebody.
Yeah,
that
maybe
you
a set of
good, or
a set of discs or something like that for,
We,
out of a raffle. Everybody that plays that day and submits a scorecard gets a chance to win, a set of discs.
yeah, I don't want to drive too much traffic to the park right at that day. I want to promote it and have it as part of the festivities, but I would make it, very open and loose as to when they could come. And, if we want to do something like a little clinic for kids and give away a disc to, the first 50 people who sign up for the clinic or something, I'm okay with that. I have a guy who's offered to do, a clinic, and we could do that during a little bit of the downtime at the park, but I don't want to, promote a big tournament and flood it with a couple hundred people, and then we don't have parking for everything that's going on.
so why don't you figure out like what time to do that, and then get the guy scheduled and how many people and whatever. But we also need to add to get the discs with the logo on it.
Yeah, I've already got the quotes for the discs with the logos, the ordering information.
Perfect. We just need to add. We just need to add it to this form so we don't forget about it.
So Derek, I don't know how you and Jamie with your event people are doing the note taking in this meeting, but she stepped out, so I don't know who needs to take notes at this point. But to update the sheet that we've got in front of us, we need to cross off the tournament word. We need to add what Councilmember Vandenberg just mentioned about ordering the discs with the logos.
Yeah, that's budget item.
It's actually on the back of
We
the
also
page.
need to,
Oh, that's the golf clinic. It's on the back, Christina. But I would put it on. I would combine these two things.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
so combine these two sheets, Derek,
Yeah.
add.
Do
order
clinic, get rid of tournament, and you've got the discs
Yeah.
are on there.
And then you also need to add consider raffle or prize for participation, as y'all just discussed. Y'all can talk about that later.
Okay.
Again, I don't know who's updating these sheets, but just make sure you're taking notes because she's outside. Any other thing on disc golf?
Nope, but I like it.
Okay, garden tours.
That would be me and Christina, I guess. We've got 3 homes for the garden tours. Christina, well, that includes the park and 2 homes, and I think Christina's gonna try to help me get somebody from Master Gardeners to participate. So hopefully we'll have 4 to 5.
Okay. Who else besides you and Judy?
Latham, out on Waxhaw Marvin Road,
Cool. Okay. And then the park.
and then the park, and then hopefully, like I said, we'll
And
get-
Tom Rizzer too, right? Didn't
well,
we
he's
say
doing the
something?
art.
Oh, okay, that's art.
It's not the garden tour.
Oh, okay.
And there's not a sheet here for
Do
the
you
art.
think we almost
Oh, there's not?
should we kind of combine that?
Well, it should
Yeah,
be
there
on
is.
one sheet.
Art tours.
Oh, there it is on the back. I'm
Okay.
You
sorry.
can combine that on
They're
the.
being efficient using both sides. The art tour, I've got, right now, I've got quite a few participants.
Hey, hang
And
on.
the other, but
Are we combining these two, or are we?
No,
keeping
leave them separate so
Okay.
they know. Yeah.
So we'll come to arts in just a second. Let's finish up with the garden.
okay.
Sorry to be so
Well,
structured.
No, the garden tour's done.
So, okay,
The
so
only
one,
thing that, again, I don't know who's gonna promote it, and we need maps developed, to distribute, where all the, where the garden tour is gonna be, and how are we gonna promote that, and so on and so forth, and that's a different discussion, but the garden, but anyway, we're on go for the garden tours, Christina. We're gonna be in pretty good shape,
okay,
so,
So-
but all that stuff is ancillary and needs to be discussed at a separate time, with the promotion.
yeah, I wrote it down. We'll come
Okay.
back to that in just a
Sure.
second. If we can update this sheet with the participants and their addresses, and if Derek, you want to assign a point person.
I've
for-
already got it, I'll send it, it's an Excel spreadsheet, I'll just
Okay.
send it to you.
Okay. If you can send it, do you have Jamie's number, or
No, I don't have Jamie's.
if you want to send it straight to Derek? So that he,
Okay, Derek, I'll send the Excel spreadsheet to you.
I'm trying to make one point person, because I'm not really getting involved in the detailed stuff. I don't want y'all
Okay.
getting confused.
No,
on it.
I'll send it to him.
I'm gonna send everything to you.
Derek, if you want to assign a person to create the map, so that we have that.
If I could make a recommendation of that, I've been kind of waiting to see if it comes up, but I think it's almost like we need to create a program for the day, and that program will have the map and the schedules kind of within it.
Okay.
So maybe we make a separate item, you know, for a program, and I'll
Well,
work with that.
that's not on my
as
list.
Did you pass it?
So there's
we'll mainly design it electronically for people to
There's
have that way, but
Kim didn't get one of these.
We need,
Give her that.
I'd like to recommend we have a sheet for
Just take one.
promotion.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I just said. I was like advertising.
And that falls under
Okay.
promotion
Yeah.
advertising.
So there is a sheet that already went around that actually has that, so I'm gonna take that pen and put it on
okay,
this
that was
sheet.
the first one.
It's that one.
And then we'll come
It's
back to
one,
that in
Bob.
just a
Right
second.
in your hand, yep. See, that's what I wrote, because I was like, we don't have one, because I just went through it, but we did, but I didn't have one.
All right, anything else on, so Derek, you don't need to assign any person to create the maps, because we'll come back to that. In addition to promotions, we'll come back to that in just a second. The only thing that we need to update on this sheet is the homes, the addresses. Anything else?
No,
Okay,
Keep it simple.
keep it simple,
now moving
stupid.
on to art.
Okay, the art tour, really not anything to discuss actually. Well, there is. I will get with Derek. I've got everybody's information on the Excel spreadsheet, so I'll just give that to him. And he can populate this sheet.
But you have some people that were gonna be at the park and some people that were gonna
That's what
stay
I want,
home.
that's what I want to talk about. There's, initially, Christina, you haven't been part of the discussion, but some of the ladies, with the exception of one, most of the artists are ladies. And we have one gentleman, Tom Reiser, who does metal work out of Waxhaw Marvin Road. Some of the ladies are not comfortable necessarily having people come to their home, and they would like to do something at the park. The others would rather they have studios that would rather do things at their home.
Okay,
But based on I don't see it here, I've got it, but
The main schedule.
the main
Here.
schedule,
Here, Bob.
there's nothing at the park.
At that time.
So for me to have people come out to the pavilion and show artwork, I mean, I really don't think we should, and I wouldn't even recommend it. So unless we can create some activity at the park that's drawing a lot of people in, I don't want to have 3 or 4, I think it's going to be 2 or 3 artists show up and nobody be there to look at their wares. I would much rather, I'm thinking maybe the better place for them would be at the high school, where the car shows are, where, you know, where we're going to have bands, so on and so forth. But I've got the artists lined up.
And they don't care where they are, just not at home, right? I mean, they just
Correct, and
want
they may
a booth.
even, you know, when I talk to them again, I may just say, hey, you know, the pavilion may not work out. What about putting your artwork out on the driveway maybe? But I'll get all that figured out long before we need the map. But anyway, we're in good shape. I've already got an Excel spreadsheet Christina put together,
Okay.
and I'll give that to Derek.
so one consideration point is you have the Village Hall meet and greet that's going on around the same time
Yeah.
that you've got this. You could scatter them about in the parking lot or in places of the.
But that's up to y'all to say, hey, I don't know
Or
if
a
that's.
little place in the village hall.
Yeah,
Well, we've got the Raptor Center from 10 to 12, and I see that the artists are from 10 to 2, so we'll at least have a couple hour overlap there.
Yeah, but how many people are coming to the Raptor show?
I mean, I hope a lot.
Kids.
I think the
But a
kids-
lot of kids that aren't gonna be interested in art.
Yeah, but their parents would be. I mean, I'm okay moving it. I'm just saying we do have something, and hopefully we'll have some, you know, some food trucks there too.
Well, I was gonna, and I was gonna talk about when we get to the ice cream, we'll get to that,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Okay.
anyway, so far we have approximately 7 to 8, it'll get finalized, I got the
Okay.
contact information. So
Would-
Where would you prefer to have them, Bob?
I don't know yet, until we firm all this up and we know exactly where everything's gonna be, I really wouldn't wanna say.
And I think the bigger concern is if we have, I know that we're trying to distribute parking, I get that, and so we don't want everybody all in one place. On the other hand, I mean, it's a delicate balance. On the other hand, we need people to show up at the park.
Right, that's.
I don't want to stand at the trailhead and do this for 5 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I don't want, and even way worse than that, I don't want you to have people that brought their pottery or whatever they're
Yeah.
bringing,
And they're sitting.
and they sit there all day long. Yeah, but alone, I'm sorry.
So,
Okay.
can we put, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like we've got, if we can have the pony rides there from 12
At the park.
at the park from like 12 to 2, then you'll have something
It'll
going on
create
from
traffic.
10 to 2 in addition to the artists being down there. You've got the Raptor Center from 10 to 12, and they're planning on being, the Raptor Center's not leaving. They're planning on being there basically like from 10 until
But you got a
two-
bird release at 4.
right. So they're planning on staying and just having, but it's going to be like 45 minutes of programming from like, I think like 10:30. I didn't bring my notebook, but from like 10:30 to 11:15. But then they're going to have like people there to talk about it, and they've got like games for kids and stuff like that. So they're going to set up like, they want the barn. They physically want the barn and have it limited to a certain number of people. But they're planning on being there before the talk and having like a booth set up with stuff, and then until hopefully they have the bird release at 4.
Will we have, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but will we have, assuming we have the artists at the pavilion, will we have signs directing people down, you know, like artists at pavilion?
Yeah, we should.
Because,
And we'll also have it on the map. That's part of the.
Yeah, that we can
program.
hand out at the
Okay.
barn,
Yeah.
and yeah,
because I just want to make sure if these people take the time to do it,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
that we take care of them.
absolutely,
Can I make a suggestion?
yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
What if we tweak the schedule to where the artists had the barn the first half of the day? That way they could come in on Friday night and set up. And if they wanted to spread out, they could use the lawn adjacent to the barn and, you know, the inside of the barn as well, and the field, and depending on how many we get, and then have them wrap up and clean up by 12.
Because
and then
because the
have it
Raptor Center wants it from 10 to 12. They said that's like their
And-
time
and-
that they
and-
want to do their talk.
And that's fine.
And I
because-
wouldn't set up my art and leave it there. And the only other thing you're doing is setting up a table. I mean,
let's just leave them in the pavilion if that's okay with everybody.
I would
I mean, I
rather
like-
have the overlap of multiple things going on.
Yeah, but have it spread out too.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
down at the picnic shelter to advertise the picnic shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Do you feel better about having them staying at the park then?
Well,
Maybe? Seeing how
a little
everything
bit.
shakes out.
Yeah, let's,
Okay,
you know,
okay,
yeah.
because as we evolve through this.
Yeah, because if we
things will
bring
change.
pony rides to the park around that
Yeah.
time too, that'll bring in some traffic and people will be interested in walking around.
Yeah.
And when I finalize everything with these artists, you know, people change their minds. They may say, well, I'll just do it at the house. So-
True.
So we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes as time comes on.
So Derek, if you can add a note to, just in steps remaining, to add, again, the people that are committed, and then just put a note that says consider time and location changes, so that y'all can talk about that later.
And signs at the park.
I've got that written on the promotional.
Okay.
Anything else? Ice cream truck?
Ice cream truck. We're locked with that, $650. There is something incorrect on the sheet. You've got 50 free. At the council, the joint council, ARC, we said 100 free.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to give us 200 free, by the way. And Kim brought up the fact, well, why don't we give away 100 and use 100 of them for some revenue, which is a good idea. So, so that's what we intend to do. And the only thing that really needs to be worked on this sheet, and again, doesn't have to happen anytime soon, is once we finalize locations for everything, we want to make sure the ice cream truck is where most people are going to be.
Yeah.
The kids are going to be
Okay.
to use
So
the ice
location
cream
is-
truck. So
is
the location can be
TBD.
determined at the very last minute.
Okay.
He's locked
Gee,
for the day.
I was gonna ask, how long is he locked in for?
I got him from 10 to 7, I believe.
Okay, can he move?
Yeah, sure he can.
Okay,
They got
so,
wheels.
We have one truck,
okay,
and if we, if we suggest to him, we want him at a certain location for 2 hours, and then move him to another location for 2 hours.
It's
That's
close
okay.
by.
okay. Well, everything in Marvin's close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, that's the truth. So,
But I would
So-
tell him that too.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so, but anyway, he's locked, and the fee is $650.
Okay, I like that idea, like him being able to like move around depending on what we've got, when we've got it, and where we've got it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have somebody there to tell him where to go,
Yeah,
but other than that,
we're gonna
we should
have.
be good.
Oh, ooh, can I go back to t-shirts?
Mhm.
Um,
Well, are we done on
sorry,
We're good.
Bob.
Okay,
No, we're good.
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Okay, we need to have like different colors for like staff. Like staff needs to have, like staff council, like we need like, all the boards need to have like a color. Or something that says, hey, we're somebody who knows what's going on.
Do you want it to say staff or volunteer
I
or
think that'd be
event
great.
staff or something on the
Yeah.
back?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Seriously, every change like that costs more money. I don't care to spend it, that's fine. I'm just
I mean, we
saying,
need
everything
something
costs
that's
money.
like, it's either a color
It's a good
change
idea.
or
Yeah.
something so that
It's a
people
good
know.
idea.
That's what we do with
And I like
the other
Christina's idea
festival.
of staff, or some, where
Yeah.
people know you can get your answers, maybe something at the village hall where we have a table for question and answer.
I added that to your steps, Christina.
Because you don't have a thing to do. Just-
All right, moving on to pony rides, if anyone,
That's me. I haven't gotten anyone yet. There's a couple of people that I reached out to, so.
okay. And do y'all talk about it. I've updated on my sheet 12 to 2. I guess you can update it in tentative.
Yeah, well, if we were gonna try to kind of
Yeah.
to bring in, that could be easier. The more important thing that I gotta work out that I haven't yet is the larger exhibition with Cedar Hill. I think we prefer that to be later in the afternoon to get people over there.
Yes.
Use the high school parking lot to even go back and forth and start building
Yep.
from that to the, to the other events. I don't know if that works out best for them,
Okay.
because often horse type things
Or the
take place in the mornings.
Yeah.
So I've got to speak to her if that's one way or the other, and I'll have that done by next meeting.
Okay. But I would say for the pony rides, if and when you find somebody that wants to do it, I would say like, middle of the day at the park would be
Correct. Late morning, middle
preferable,
of the
but,
day.
right,
yeah.
but we need to change it up, okay.
Yeah, and I think we should intend on charging for that. There is gonna be a cost associated with somebody bringing them in. So if, in the past when we've done that, if it's $5 or $10, you build in at least to cover your costs of them.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
So on steps remaining, Derek, if you can just note, consider charging. Y'all can talk about that and decide that later.
$5 a pony ride?
Yeah, and
Can
it
we
does
get
have
QR
pricing
code
structure. It
for
does have
Marvin's?
pricing structure in there.
I'll add it to the marketing.
We need it, well, because that'll be an easy way for people to pay for stuff. Like if we're charging for the ice cream. Cause we're gonna get all the revenue from the ice cream, right, Bob?
Yeah, absolutely.
So so if we have a QR code for the pony rides, QR code for the ice cream, QR code for information, like we should get a QR code for, I just like saying that, sorry.
I've added that to the marketing page, so we'll come back and talk about that in just a second.
Okay,
if
sorry.
you don't mind.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments on ponies?
No,
Ponies.
All right, equine.
we just went over that too.
Yeah, I kind of
That's a
flew
Cedar Hill
into
thing.
that. That's Cedar
Oh,
Hill.
okay.
Yeah.
So Derek,
Todd wasn't following the rules. He skipped to the next one.
Well, it was.
You could probably combine those two sheets, so if y'all wanna combine those two sheets, that's.
Don't combine
I
them,
don't-
they're two separate events.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
that's
two
Okay,
it.
separate
two
That's
separate
places.
places, two
Yeah.
separate times.
Keep it
Okay,
straight.
sorry,
I'm
never
trying.
mind, scratch that.
Trying to keep her on the straight and narrow down here.
Alright,
I don't know that we'll be doing any tricks, but.
Oh, I wanna see a pony trick.
food trucks.
Oh boy, food trucks.
This is Dan.
Yeah, he's not here tonight,
Um,
so.
Well, does anybody have any questions? I know y'all need to determine.
We talked about that a lot, and I think, I think we felt pretty good
I mean,
with the
I
discussion with
thought we
council.
did.
Where, they're gonna be at their different places in the morning and early
Lunchtime,
afternoon.
yeah.
And then converge all to the same place at night, because.
That's what I thought.
And so what he needs to do is get some lined up. They don't care where they are. Within,
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 miles, they don't
And I
care.
think he does. I think he had a
So-
number that he was already
so
talking to.
So let's
We'll
do this.
decide where to put them.
So let's do this real quick. Coffee at Marvin Elementary School in the morning, right?
Yep.
Okay, then we're gonna have
One at the
food
park
truck
for a
number
while.
1 at the park at like 11
Yeah.
for like lunch. Do we just want one?
It depends on
How many we have?
how many we end up with.
So we'll say
total.
food truck number 2 at the park at 11 question mark.
Yeah.
Then food truck number 3
At
at
the
the
high
high school at 11.
And that's for, yeah. So
And then food truck number 4 at the high school at 11. And then we'll have ice cream floating all day, basically.
Yeah.
So we either need 1 at the park or 2 at the park, depending on how many events we have, and then 2 at the high school, and then everything converges on the high school around 5,
Yeah.
right?
And then that way at the high school, we probably have 3+ ice cream, which
Right.
splits up the crowd hopefully enough so that it's not
There's not a crazy
45-minute
Right.
wait.
So Derek, can you add all of that to the sheet so that it's pretty clear?
I have it. You just make a copy of it.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns, questions?
Nope.
Moving on to Firethorn Open House.
That's me. I mean, they're good. We're still trying to figure out the details and what they're gonna offer. So we're good. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. I got nothing new there.
Any questions? Moving on to Raptor Center.
I'm gonna get a QR code from them. I'm gonna take off this fundraising via the walkathon and do a donation box or QR code. And they're definitely not gonna do a free anything. I think it's $250.
They're not gonna do a what?
They're not doing anything
Oh.
free. It's gonna cost, I think, like $250. But they're good, and they are gonna be there from like 10 to 4. I'll fill in some of these blanks.
That's true.
Yeah.
They do a great job.
Yeah, and they're gonna have like, they wanted the barn, but then they wanted like a separate section like outside where they could set up like games and stuff for the kids and have like, they've got like a whole programming in addition to like the program.
That'd be great if they could get down near the artist at the
Or
pavilion.
they could do that too.
That's gonna draw a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alright, moving on
Good
to
job on that.
concert. Jamie?
Well, and the thing that I don't
Yeah,
see
you
this.
had talked about the person with the stage.
Yeah,
and
so I
that
got
sounded
pricing for the
promising.
stage, and y'all gonna have to increase your budget a little.
How
So,
much was
it depends on what you want, but, let's say 3,000 to 4,500, 4,600. Well, but here, send that down there so she can see what you get.
Now, was that also including
The
all
sound,
of the, okay, that
everything.
includes all the sound and everything.
That's the
so
sound
it's
guy all
plugged in.
day, that's the setup, tear
For
down.
all day?
Yeah, well, I didn't
Yeah.
give him a time, so,
Christine, let me ask you a question. If we're gonna pay, I'm making this up, $3,000 for the sound system.
Okay.
And he's gonna, and we've got him for however many hours.
yeah.
Why wouldn't we do something like Battle for the Bands from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where we get local high school kids to go out, they got a great sound system. And we make like from 2 o'clock to the culmination of the 5 or 6, a great event for the kids in Marvin.
Make it like a little competition.
Yeah, and we've already got we're paying for the sound system. The sound system's gonna be up.
And he would prefer not to set it up and tear it down in 15 minutes. I mean, you know, the longer
Yeah.
it sits out there within reason, the
I mean,
better.
it seems like that'd be a great opportunity for us.
Well, I
with
think we
that.
talked about it, and I think everybody,
Yeah, we did.
Thought it was
The only
the-
concern was, you know, controlling what the bands or the high school kid battle of the bands could be. But hey, it's kind of like open mic, you know, in a way. You know?
I mean, I'm okay.
I would think, I would just think it'd be a good time. The car show's gonna be out there anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make it a big event in the afternoon out there with the car show, with Battle of the Bands and.
Having the equine across the street,
Yeah,
and I
make it
I
an
would
event.
have like. Does he talk?
He can kind
That is
of.
so stupid.
I
Oh
understand
my
what you're
God.
saying. Can he MC it a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say if I'm him, I'm going to charge you for that because that is going to be managing a band getting up there and getting back off. Even if it's one person, you got to hook them up. All of that itself is a little bit of a nightmare, but that is what he does, right? But the more turnaround, the more work that is. So he probably have to bring some guys with, you know, not just him.
Well, and I was thinking not just for the music, but for hey, let's remember our sponsor. Blah, blah,
He did a little bit of that for us.
Don't forget that you can go across the street to Cedar Hill and
Exactly.
check out the
Yeah.
equine.
But I would suggest that we find somebody that's willing
Okay.
to do that. Just
Okay.
that's what they're focused on because
Okay.
especially if we're going to turn over a
add,
lot
that
of
to the,
bands,
add that to the list.
so it's like an MC.
So on the steps remaining, I put
Joe would be
consider,
great at
Yeah, but Joe needs to be
that.
like he. Well, God, he wouldn't stop talking.
so, just want making sure Derek gets this. On the steps remaining, consider MC, consider a battle of bands and a new time associated with that.
Yeah, and take me off this closing event concert. I don't know why I'm on there. I'm at the bottom of that page. Somebody needs to get me off of that immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what the difference is
Sooner the
between
better.
those.
I know. I'm like,
It looks like it's complicated. We'll
It's
adjust
just
it.
got her name in it. Okay, yeah, I don't blame
get
her.
me off of there.
But we also, okay, so he's got the band, we need to settle the stage situation. Because, I mean, you can do it without one,
No, there's no because
but
whoever.
you can't do it without a sound guy.
Well, whoever we get to be the band oh my God, they're gonna require a stage, and they're either gonna charge us more money to bring their own, and then it's
Oh,
gonna be.
bands don't have stage, they don't haul around
Oh, okay.
stages, no.
No,
They do have.
She made the point that the bands might give you a lower rate if you have the sound system in
Okay.
place.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
because
gonna have to do something.
only some of them have their own sound system and some of them borrow one or whatever. But if you have multiple bands, you need one sound system.
So just just change the budget to be whatever the range was, Christina, like
Can I interrupt really fast?
3,800 to 4,600 or
This
whatever.
start about 32.
So this is going to be a very long meeting, and we're going to go through lunch. So we're going to order Asian food if anybody wants.
This is going to be a long.
Well, we got.
We haven't even hit new business.
We hadn't hit new business yet.
I can't stay here all day. I do have
Yeah.
other things.
But if
I
anybody,
have to do.
I have
Have
to
a
meet
1
with,
o'clock.
I have to meet
You'll
with
make
Austin
that.
after
You'll
this, so.
Well, maybe. Well, I'm not gonna turn down free food.
See, I'll just hand those back to me in the next few minutes.
Okay.
They,
Alright, so
Lunch then?
I've added sound
Oh my God.
system. I've also added the total budget of 4,600. We might as well just bump that up to 5,000
Yeah, but that doesn't get you a van.
for stage.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And he did
Stage
have,
and sound.
he also had some good contacts for, not promoters, but, what do you call them? Managers, people that front a bunch of bands, so,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, one guy, I need to talk to them, and a couple of bands too, so,
Just get that to James.
yeah. I just noticed that he sent me that, so yeah, I'll do that.
Are we good on what was updated on the sheet, Derek?
Yes, we are good.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
I think I want to get shrimp and broccoli.
All right, moving on to sponsorships.
write it down.
Circle it.
Put your name on it.
Oh, I didn't put my name on mine, but you know my handwriting.
So this is, it looks like, hopefully this is Christina Cole, not me.
Which is it? What is it?
Sponsorships.
Oh no, that's you.
Oh, no, it's not me.
It's not, it's, okay.
Uh-oh.
Derek, I don't know what my responsibilities are in this.
Put it on the call.
Just to pay for everything. Just pay for everything.
Derek, you wanna update us on this?
On sponsorships, I'm trying to look, I don't see, what sheet are you on?
It's almost the next, it's like the last one. So I know, I'll talk while Derek's looking. I know that Jamie and Bob had a meeting. No, Jamie and Joe had a meeting, and they're like, we basically just have to start just calling people and then trying to get out in front of people. I know that they're gonna call Publix, so we just need to add this like to the list and then find out where we are. Publix. I noticed that Heritage Festival, they had a big Union Power Cooperative sign, so somebody needs to check in with them.
Union County, which we can't seem to get a sponsorship for, that would be one I would hit up for too.
Union County?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
It hasn't worked in the past, but it's a goal of ours this
Okay.
year. There are a couple more on our list too that might.
I had put on Thomas Pest Control. I know they're gonna do something. I just don't know how much yet.
What about the other businesses in that Publix park?
Yeah,
'Cause there's a few
that's
new
exact. That I'm
restaurants
glad
in
you
there.
said that because I was thinking that there's a pizza place. I think there's a nail place. Like that's
There's a couple. There's two restaurants, and then what about across the street, like Java Coffee House and those? Although there's a new market, seafood market in there too, across the street.
Okay. So all businesses at that corner.
Well, the other thing I would say too is, just because they're in Marvin is one thing, but there's the other businesses all around Cuthbert's in there, which, I mean, Marvin residents use constantly, you know?
Do like Jersey Mike's and them? Do they do like sponsorships? I know they donated a bunch of food for.
Sometimes it's food, yeah.
Which, you know, I don't think we need food now, but they might do it because I know they work with like the middle school doing like a fundraiser day, so they might down over there. And they might.
Yeah, there's the other wings place in there.
Yeah,
There's,
I think yeah. But we're gonna look at Piedmont Eye Care. I know there's a couple places that we've. I'm just trying to think of like people who own businesses that live in Marvin.
We had really good
well,
results.
look at the list all around
The
the
high
Marvin
school.
High School
Yeah.
with all of those, because those are naturals too.
Yeah.
Most of them have kids in, you know, the schools.
This year we had better than in the past results from chiropractors and dental offices.
So Chad Johnson Orthodontics, he lives in Marvin. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
I would say, let staff create a tracking sheet for all the sponsors. And then if you have somebody you want to reach out to, just run it by me and we'll make sure, you know, that nobody has already hit them up per se. And then you just go for it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Can we
Yes.
make sure that we add that to the agenda when we're talking about this on Tuesday? At our
A
meeting?
tracking list.
Yeah, because I know we're gonna talk about it then, right? I'm assuming it'll be on the agenda. Bueller. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, she texted me.
All right. Is this supposed to be my sheet, Derek? Because I don't know anything about this.
No, it should put Joe and Jamie on there. Really, just put Joe. Put Joe on there.
Okay, so who's going to be tracking them, bringing them in, documenting all that stuff? I'm sure it's going to be finance, but you need to designate someone to keep up with all that.
We'll track it as a staff, but
Who on staff? That's what she wants to know.
the Marvin Day planning team, myself, Jamie, and Gretchen. Jamie's subcategory is finance, so she will manage the amounts, the budgeting per se. But we are not gonna go out and recruit sponsorships.
No, that's our job. We got it.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all will create the list, staff will create the list. we'll bring that back so you guys can look at it, and we can assign individual assignments from there.
And then if you
We're
think of
gonna create
anybody,
a blank spreadsheet and let you guys fill it in as you come up with your contacts and people you have in the community you wanna reach out to.
We can add the ones that they just mentioned. I've written them down if you didn't. so
that I
I'll-
did too, so you need to make a copy of my sheet.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Y'all good?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the very last sheet, which is marketing and advertisements. We literally just created the sheet, so we don't have any one particular person in charge of it. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but I think you'd put Gretchen in charge of kind of this realm here. Is that correct? So we'll assign her to this. And so far from the notes that we've had just from this conversation, which I'm sure there needs to be some added, but we've got the program that needs to be created, a map that includes all of the art and garden locations, as well as all the other events.
I'll volunteer to help with the design of the program.
Ooh, John. Yeah.
Any of this communication stuff, I'll be helping out with too.
The communications piece that you'll be helping is just merely putting the information out.
Yes, yeah,
So, just so we're clear on that.
yeah.
And in your normal avenues that you normally put it out at.
Yes.
So there's nothing really that needs to be added to this.
Yeah.
Other than,
No.
so
Yeah, we're good.
But we need,
Well-
let's go, keep going. We'll see what we
So,
have.
create I put snipe sign, I call them snipe signs, wayfinding signs, for art this way, garden this way.
We talking about just within the park?
No, I think you need to have like a sign in front of Village Hall that says meet and greet, Gene Stowe, whatever else we're having at Village Hall. At the elementary school, it's walkathon, blood drive, health expo. Here's who we have.
So we'll have staff create a database of, what listing of signs we're gonna have. So if y'all wanna add more, take away, we can figure that out.
And may I suggest you do not put dates on them so that you can use them, one hopes, next time.
And banners.
Don't you- yeah.
Banners, yeah.
Banners,
Yeah. we
I
need
was
to
wrong,
secure-
sorry, Hunter.
We need to secure locations for those. The other thing is magazine articles, Valentine. Somebody get up with Valentine magazine.
Black Sauce Sports.
So periodicals that are appropriate for this general area.
I gave one that I got in the mail to Austin.
okay, so staff will need to create a database for magazine articles and advertising venues as well.
And we need to go ahead and create like an article. And I would take it kind of from whatever sponsorship letter. I would start we need like a promotional,
So,
Blurb.
staff is gonna need to hire a graphic artist to create some type of flyer. So Derek, if you wanna assign Gretchen to that, I actually gave Jamie a list of some people that I've used in the past, but we're not programmers, developers in terms of graphically. So just let someone else that knows how to do that, get that done nice and pretty.
with like the program and stuff too. Yeah, I think so. We don't want it to look like crap. We're the most affluent community in North Carolina.
QR codes, I don't know how to create those. I don't know who you want to assign to look into that, Derek, but someone needs to look into. how
As
that
long
works.
as you have a web page, created, you can go on a website and it'll generate one for you as long as you put the URL in.
So, do you know how to do that?
It's very easy, but you have to have a web page.
Are we gonna have a web page for this event?
I think we need a sub-web page on our website.
Are we going to be accepting payment through this web page? Then we got to figure out how we're going to accept payment.
Well, you guys figure that out.
That's not my, and
That's
not,
a different QR
that-
code.
that's
Yeah.
entirely different.
Yeah,
Wait, somebody needs to figure that out because we need to be able to. 'cause
Yeah, we've run into that issue before.
Okay, I'll look into this. I'll assign myself to this.
If you start doing a third-party vendor, you're going to start paying fees.
Yep,
Which
yeah,
we
absolutely.
understand that.
Christina, one other thing, you may have written it down, I'm not sure, but we're gonna have a HOA president's meeting tonight. And a big piece of that is gonna be Marvin Day and the communication of Marvin Day. And the easier we make it for them to communicate, the more likely they're gonna do it. So are we gonna write can we have Gretchen write something up about a recap of Marvin Day? So all they have to do literally is just set as an attachment to all their
So preferably, and I'll let y'all decide this, but preferably I'd like one message to go across all the different venues, i.e. the flyer,
Right.
instead of us creating all these little things. So once we get the flyer created, we can literally send that out to the HOA president and say, hey, can you market this?
Whenever we do it, I
Maybe we
just,
have something tonight that just says save the date and says.
well, tonight's is gonna be more of, honestly, it's gonna.
Come to Jesus meeting,
It
isn't it, Bob?
is a come to Jesus meeting, because what happens is, Christina, Austin, in the past, we had
Sends
these
stuff
HOA
out.
presidents, and nothing happens. It just dies on the vine. And there's
I
various.
can ham it up tonight when I really talk to him.
What?
I can ham it up tonight when we talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're
So,
gonna cry?
I can.
so
When
anyway,
can we get that out?
but I just
The
want to
crying?
make sure.
No, I'll
Tonight-
Hang on.
I just want to make sure that tonight we engage the presidents and let them know, one of the things that we don't have, Waxhaw is an example, Heritage Festival is an example. They have all these retail outlets, and you can put banners up and you can throw out brochures in the
Yep.
retail outlets. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So in my mind's eye, the HOA presidents are kind of like these retail outlets. That's where we're going to post a lot of our information, and for them to disseminate it. They're a critical component in the success of this.
So-
And I really think that's what needs to be shared with them tonight and moving forward, is how important they are. So
So-
whenever you talk
okay.
to them, you just,
So the expectation of staff tonight is really just to get across to the HOAs, is we really are gonna rely on them for promotion of this event,
Absolutely.
and and
Absolutely.
that's pretty much it. You don't
Of
need-
every event.
Okay.
yes.
Everything that is going on.
Just,
And not even events, but like, this is the cell tower situation, like the apartment complex situation, like where we need information, they just start. need to
Because they
start-
have access to email lists that
everybody.
they rightfully want to
Correct.
keep private,
Right.
and
And
we
that's
understand
fine,
that.
totally.
yeah.
But
So we'll make sure that gets across tonight.
Okay.
But aside from this event and the marketing and advertisement for this, is there anything else that y'all wanna add to the sheet?
Spectrum News, and an interview. Joe will be fine with that.
Kim, you're going to do a great job.
That'd be terrible.
No, you wouldn't.
Okay.
Far from it.
So the Spectrum News,
I think it needs to be like on their community events calendar, and then if we could get them to do an interview, and even like 2, 4, and 6, and 8 on the cable channels.
I will say I tried to get them for the groundbreaking ceremony at Village Hall. They said they were going to be there. They never showed up.
Wow.
all right, so
I can
in
maybe make
the,
something happen.
one of the databases.
people.
The databases we create for magazine articles, we'll just call that communication database, and we'll put in there all these other subcategories, the magazines, the news, Spectrum, and all this other little stuff. So we need to make sure we get that added into that database.
And I think that we need to have like the flyer needs to be done by, I would say by like the end of January, so that we can start like promoting it. And then like the other stuff, in like that April.
program and other things. could be
Yeah.
done.
Christina, one recommendation I might make, and I think Christina Cole agrees with me on. What in your mind's eye is the drop dead date for everything to be absolutely locked and loaded?
In terms of what capacity, like,
Everything.
well,
We're
I
ready
think,
to
I
go.
think it's really gonna depend on what you're talking about. Sponsorships, we've ended to the end of this year, so that we can determine what we're gonna cut from the programming.
What I'm talking about is, okay, some things may get cut from programming due to lack of funding.
Right,
But what I'm saying is May the 21st is the event.
right.
What I'm saying is we need to back up 2 to 3 weeks. And at that point, everything has got to be locked. 3 weeks prior to the event, 2 weeks, because what happens is, and I used to do this on a national basis, and I know this is a lot smaller, is you need a little leeway, a lot of playtime prior to May 21st. I just think it's always a good idea to have a set date to say, here's when we need everything done by.
Is he coming to see you?
Yeah, like where'd he just go?
Kind of, yeah.
Is he coming to see you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like,
Christina's
walk
going,
in like
"What
you
are we
did.
doing?"
Yeah.
So I would like us to just come up with a date that we all
April
feel good
30th.
about. And that's the date we're completing this. Bob Dunningham has got to have everything done on his side. Locked.
April 30th.
So we can say April 30th, but some other things are gonna have prior deadlines, i.e. sponsor.
Oh, sure, no, I'm talking about, absolutely.
Everything has to be done by this date. Some
There
stuff
should
will be
be.
done earlier, but
There should
everything else is gonna be done by that date.
There
April
should be
30th.
checklist management by week, but that'll be fine.
Okay, so any other questions, comments on marketing and advertising? That closes the door on every subcategory. The only things that I put a pin in for things to talk about that we have not already addressed, the quorum notice, which is, we'll get that done. Schedule for persons involved. We'll have a main scheduler for kind of something similar to this. We'll create a database for who's to be where at what event.
Sliding scale time.
Promotion garden, promotion map.
We have a quorum notice for the Christmas event.
I don't know the answer to that. I would assume that Austin has, but we'll ask him when he comes back.
Are you gonna be there tonight at the HOA president's meeting?
Yes.
So am I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, like you said, first year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're not
Well,
part
that's
of this.
because
Silly is that
we're
we
just
will do
attending
it.
and listening.
Okay, well, I'm presenting, but whatever, okay.
Any other thing on Marvin Day that y'all want to talk about that we did not already cover?
I'm gonna reiterate what he said a dozen times, that we need to focus in on doing a really good Marvin Day. Less is more, this is more, and maybe the sponsors are, the sponsorships will help contain us a little bit and control it a little bit, because we've got a lot, this is a lot going on.
So I apologize for the structure that we just had to go through with this, but I think it's going to help clean some things up in the future, and it's also going to keep us focused on
No, I
what
agree.
steps remain. So
My only problem with looking at it this way is that sometimes you forget about this part.
Yeah.
Right? And so even if my name is connected to this sheet, I still have to remember where that goes in the bigger picture.
okay,
You see what I'm
we'll try to
saying?
clean that up so we can kind of merge some of them.
Yeah. Just, you see what I'm getting at. I don't
Yeah.
want to lose sight of the bigger day because I'm just looking at, my little part of it.
We're trying to. I totally understand that, but we're trying to take the smaller sub-details so that we don't lose track of some of the smaller
No,
things.
I agree. No, absolutely, absolutely.
Derek, did you want to mention anything else or any other comments?
No, I'm good right now. I appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on to new business items. Number 1 is discussion and consider recommendation of Heritage at Marvin subdivision sketch plan.
Yeah, so I don't know how we necessarily want to do this. I think with the plans were in your guys' packet. I've got a set of documents right here. I'm just briefly going to go over it. Based off our ordinance, sketch plans go to PRG board for first consideration to make a recommendation. We have received a subdivision plan for the Odell and previous property for 29 residential lots. It's a total of 47 acres. So it's 29 lots, it's conservation subdivisions. They have a 285 view shed along Newtown Road, the tree preservation strip.
Do you need us to pull anything up?
It's if that you want. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, can you pull it up?
It's gonna take me a minute to get to it.
It'll
Right?
be easier to see.
It's in packet box.
Is there
right?
anybody?
It's in the packet.
Whose user?
We don't know, they won't answer us.
We haven't,
Anyway, but we can just pull it up. So the
Pull it up.
Yeah, the first step in the process is that it comes to PRG for, I guess, recommendations and stuff. Typically, this goes, typically there's a public involvement meeting that happens first. The applicant, Jones Holmes, is scheduling that public involvement meeting for January. And my goal is here is that, sketch plan, I reviewed the sketch plan. There's a few minor modifications in there, but it doesn't change anything with like lot design or any of that stuff. So today, we can discuss this, make a recommendation. When they have their public involvement meeting, potential public input they might change some of their site plans, and if so, that will then come back to PRG. If they don't necessarily change their site plan, I don't see any need of potentially coming back here after their public involvement meeting, unless it's unless you guys want. But at the same time, there's maybe no rush to make a recommendation today because there's going to be something that can be decided in January. I just wanted to put it on the agenda, start that conversation. And as well as when I put this on the agenda, I was working with the applicant to schedule their public involvement meeting, and they're just going to do it after the holidays and do it January.
But they probably will do it after our January meeting. So then we'll make the decision in February.
Correct.
You guys.
Well,
You-
that's, if anything, so the way, basically, they have that public involvement meeting. It's kind of backwards, in my opinion, the way the ordinance does it. It's like, we receive a sketch plan,
There you go.
then they do a public involvement meeting, and then they can amend their sketch plan, and then send it back for it to actually be reviewed for compliance. Anyways,
I stopped listening. Do it
Yeah.
again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
so
I'm
when we
sorry.
receive
Do
a
it again.
sketch plan application, basically the first step is, okay, we got the sketch plan, the fee, and the application. Then they're supposed to do a public involvement meeting on where they share what they're trying to do, get some feedback and stuff, and then they can amend their submittal based off of some of those public comments and feedback. And then they can resubmit, and then it's actually reviewed for compliance, and then it goes through the process. Well, I've already reviewed it for compliance. So what I'm trying to say is that if anything comes out of that public involvement meeting where the applicant wants to change anything,
You'll bring it back to
then
the
I'll bring it back.
PRG. Okay.
Yeah.
Hunter,
Mhm.
Sorry.
can you explain what we're looking at up here?
Can
Yeah.
we look at it? Can I?
Yeah,
turn
you,
this up?
you can go to, that should just be the next page right there.
Yeah.
So, here's Newtown Road right here.
Future roundabout.
Yeah, future roundabout, Meadowlark
Meadow-
Lane.
So that's Marvin Road there.
This is
Yep.
Marvin Road here.
Okay.
This is Newtown. We're over here.
And it's going down as Meadowlark Lane.
Yeah, this is Meadowlark.
So the access, it's one ingress egress for this development off of Newtown Road here. The ordinance calls for a view shed buffer, minimum of 85, maximum of 285, and there's a formula based off the acreage and stuff. Basically, it can't exceed 285, and their formula, I think, put them at like 290, so it's 285 is their view shed buffer along Newtown Road. So it does kind of shift some of the lots back. There's a tree perimeter right here. And then I think this is an 85 tree perimeter buffer along Meadowlark, I think also per our ordinance. 29 lots, the lot average size was it 36?
Yeah.
37 square feet, which is roughly,
Wait.
Looks like 0.7 acres or
yeah,
something. That
it's
looks like
about
the small
0.8,
one.
it's a 0.8,
.8,
because
yeah,
43,000 square feet is 1 acre.
Yeah.
So the smallest lot will be 0.8.
Well, the
No,
smallest
the
lot,
smallest is
there's-
0.63.
in our ordinance, we allow for, it's like conservation, so it allows for smaller lot sizes to promote basically higher density per se on that not residential unit size, but density on houses close together, so smaller lots, to promote preservation of other areas.
Sure.
So it reads that, I think, the minimum's 30,000 square feet, but 30% of the lots can be 25,000 square feet. So they've got 3 lots that are under 30,000 square feet, and that's compliant with our ordinance. I think it's
There's one over
got,
here.
I was about to say I've got them circled on the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
3.
it's here.
What lot numbers?
Number 2, 6, and 7.
Yes,
So
it's
go-
2,
yeah.
6, and 7.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 that are the smallest
Because
ones.
they're more narrow.
Yeah.
with the- yeah.
What is
So-
the buffer? Because I care about my neighborhood. What is the buffer down in that corner down here? That
Right here.
little, that all the way down.
That's
yeah.
25 feet,
25 feet. Okay.
and this is, I believe, 85 feet.
Okay. Yeah, because those houses down there are in
Correct.
my neighborhood.
It's this is all compliant by our ordinances. I mean, straight with the residential.
What size homes are being built?
When you say size, you mean square
Square
footage? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they're going to be large. I mean, it's going to be market driven.
Well, all of these are the same size square, so that's
Yeah.
clearly not.
It's a 60 by 80 pad, I think. The pad's in the right hand corner.
Is this a
80 by
tract?
80 by 80.
Is this
80
a
by
tract
80.
developer or a custom builder?
Custom. Aren't they custom?
It's a mixture of both. It's a company based out of Florida. It's the same company that's doing the estates at Marvin Branch and the Gates rural subdivision. They have one other development here in North Carolina that's in Weddington. I can get you the name. But it's a privately owned company out of Florida. It's not like it's publicly traded, and stuff. So applicant's been very good to work with. We've been in a lot of conversation. I will mention that they've had a lot of different iterations of their site plan per, the MHD potential and stuff. So there could be a possibility of a Heritage District submittal, which provides a little bit more flexibility. You're still going to get that same open green space. You're still going to get kind of the same, how do I say this, I guess. There might be a little bit more in the housing density, but it's like you're still you're gonna actually have more buffer here. You'd actually see probably more greenway or park space. It's all contingent upon MHD getting approved on top of their timing on closing on the property.
And the entrance to the neighborhood is over there, correct, Tom?
Yep.
Yep,
And what road is that?
that's
Newtown.
Newtown. So this
I
is
passed
not,
that's
around
right.
the corner.
Got it.
Past the curve, almost South Carolina.
yeah. So there will be no access off of Meadowlark or any of that.
Okay.
I can tell you I wouldn't want to go out that road every day. Not at that curve, but that's not my problem.
Yeah, and one thing, so sketch plan's the first step in the process. Once sketch plan gets reviewed by all the boards, well, staff, and then all the boards, and then council can approve, then it pretty much has like a year vesting where they can then, it's valid for a year, and then that's when they get the construction drawings and the preliminary plat. During that process is when it's more reviewed by outside agencies. So, talking about this road is potentially with Newtown Road being a DOT road. DOT might make request some traffic modifications. Most likely they will probably a turn lane here, coming from here, and potentially even a turn lane added there. But that's something that we can't control with it being a DOT road. That's going to be a recommendation upon DOT.
And, excuse me, and who's the builder again?
It's Jones Homes. They have an office in Charlotte.
So they're the ones that are doing the branches.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
the
that's
estate of
Also,
Marble
the
Branch.
falls at Weddington
Yes.
and Bent Creek on Jim Wilson.
I think it is the falls at Weddington, but I don't.
Yeah, the falls at Weddington
That
and
sounds
Bent
right.
Creek on their
You're
website.
right, I got the website.
Yeah, Bent Creek.
The
is
houses
a-
look nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're beautiful.
I mean,
Beautiful neighborhood.
And I think when I said I think they're like custom, I think that they have like certain styles that somebody could come in and custom.
Oh yeah,
do,
I went
right?
to the falls. Met the developer out at the falls. This was back probably in September. They have different.
So it's not like a true custom neighborhood, but
Yeah.
it's not just like a.
It's more like
They have-
John Wheeling there.
Yeah.
They have
like
different
that.
elevations, but
Yeah.
then they have different. There's a lot of custom options on the inside. Like
Do you
I,
know the price range they're proposing? Just
I-
curious.
I would say anywhere probably starting in the 800s. I would think.
Because isn't that what the branches are?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
That's throwaway money.
I think that's where that and.
I can't imagine they're going to do
That's
something
where
less
Ben.
than what
That's
they're
where
doing at
Ben
the
Creek
branches.
Yeah.
is too.
That costs
And like I said, a lot of that's going to be
$1,000
driven on the market and the land value. I mean, just because that's what I always tell people is that with like even smaller lots and stuff, the houses are still going to be quality and up there just because of the surrounding,
costs.
the land costs and the surrounding residential market. So, this is kind of my first, how do I say, I guess, being at the beginning of a development submittal for Marvin. So I'm not really sure what all, was discussed when it comes to PRG on all some of the recommendations. I think there were some that I looked back in the minutes, and even that I think there was certain greenway strips or greenway or stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I said, our ordinance is restrictive where it kind of limits them on providing some of that potential, open parks. I mean, it's not necessarily a requirement based off of this part of the subdivision, but it's like with that 285 viewshed buffer, it really knocks down on site design.
Are they being required to provide greenways?
No, I'm trying to think.
Typically, it would be that or fee and lieu. It would be one
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
So I mean that's all stuff that has to be like the way, like I said, our ordinance reads is that some of the fee and lieu has to be potentially discussed. There's a formula for fee and lieu if there's no type of open park space. I mean, in my opinion, there could be a request of if we wanted sidewalk or some type of thing potentially in that view shed buffer. See if that could be something to weave in and out and maybe connect up to the
I
market.
wouldn't walk on Newtown Road.
Well,
close.
I'm not.
Like
Yeah.
in, like that's like 200.
I mean, as bad as it is here in that curve, that is
Yeah.
insanity happens
but
right
like-
now.
That's
like-
gonna be woodland, isn't
Well,
it?
here's the
It
other
is
thing.
all woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like do like a path kind of like Marvin, Joe Carr, like around Marvin Creek, but like in it, not like right
Yeah.
up, like in it.
Basically, the view shed buffer is it's supposed to. The intent of the view shed is basically where it doesn't
shedding the buffer.
So you
buffering
can't
the
see
shed,
the houses from the
buffering the
road.
view.
Correct.
Buffering,
Shedding-
buffering the view from the
I
shed.
mean,
Shedding
it
the
also is
view.
potentially a you
Shedding
know,
the view.
It works for both sides of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No,
Um,
I,
but yeah, I mean, a Greenway, I don't see any potential, you know, that can be a recommendation, you know, that, all this stuff can be recommended to the builder. Like, there is fee and lieu language.
Yeah, well, and that's what I would say, you know, depending on where we'd be connecting to, yeah, it might be nice to have a path through the woods, but the value may be in the fee and lieu.
Correct.
For us to be able to.
I just wanted to
I
make
know,
sure
but like
everything
with
discussed.
connectivity of the Heritage District, like we may want to have some sort
Correct.
of,
Yeah.
you
That'd be
know,
nice,
to.
for sure.
And there's potential, I think that's actually what this is.
That'd be-
they're
Yeah, that
proposing
looks like a
side-
connector.
They're
That would be
proposing a
great.
sidewalk connector right here from the development to, maybe,
Wait, is that it right there?
yeah, that's the connector that's gonna tie into the roundabout, because we have the Marvin Loop that ties in. I know part of the previous meeting, one of the previous meetings talked about working with DOT about pedestrian facilities on this roundabout.
Right.
I'm working on that. We're just also trying to work with DOT.
We're working with DOT.
We're first on working with DOT to get the roundabout on schedule.
Yeah.
So,
Step one.
That's a job and a half
But-
working with DOT.
but I mean, yeah, I know, I mean, I think, like I said, that stuff, because like I said, we were approved for that Marvin Loop grant, which will tie in all of that along Newtown and that. So having this development have that access to be able to tie into the future Marvin Loop would be a huge asset, I think, both ways.
And they're gonna have a sidewalk all the way around?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually a walkway there, it seems to be indicating a water main.
It might be, go to, on page 5 is the utility.
Yeah.
if that's fine.
But if it is,
It
then that
says
means there's an
gentlemen.
easement, that basically there's already an easement there, it's probably a 30-foot easement for that.
That's slow.
Potentially,
Utilities.
we can have, a greenway or some type of connectivity easement
I'm working
doubled
on
with
it.
that.
Nope, not far enough. Hold on, going down.
Yeah, you see, it's kind of showing.
It's water
It's a
main.
water main, force main, but it's a 30-foot.
You could put a trail there probably.
Yeah, I mean, if there anything ever happens with the line, the trail, I mean, that would just have to be, but yeah,
I mean, I would definitely have something
some type of connect, yeah.
connecting to that roundabout.
Makes sense.
And like I said, and I will mention, there could be a potential change in this plan / a different submittal under the Heritage District if it gets approved, which that would, based off the way the Heritage District language, all that reads, I think there were certain site plans floating around as like, it would give the village more greenway, more open space, actually a park. But like I said, a lot of this is contingent upon approval of that and their closing date with, Jones Home's closing date with because it's with 2 different property owners, with Russ and Priebus. So,
And you still got the property beside of it will come up sooner rather than later.
are you referring to Let's or
Which one?
Let's?
There's the other empty spot
The
there.
one thing I mean about this developer is especially like they've been very not necessarily involved, but following the Heritage District. And obviously, when that was originally proposed back in June, and then me starting, there's been, you know, we're finally getting that's going to be on council's agenda in January, and I think it's made the proper changes. It's going to be a really cool thing, but that kind of hurt them with their closing date, just because they have to have certain approvals. So that's, you know, that the developer's aware of that. That's basically where they're at, is like, okay, do they spend more money on engineering fees to now resubmit that plan, or what? But I think
What do you anticipate the start date to be, if everything goes well?
with this plan, I think on their outline, it would be construction would start the fall, winter of next year.
Don't see it.
It's on. I think it's either the very bottom of the utility or it's on the first page.
Begin construction October 2022.
The other thing,
A lot of it depends on the roundabout situation.
Of course.
So, I mean,
that's the other thing that's because this property right now does not have access to water and sewer.
So I was gonna ask you about the pump station in there.
Well,
That's what that is, right?
yeah, so there is a pump station. So this property right now does not have water and sewer. Water and sewer ends here at Marvin Road. Part of the roundabout construction is that sewer will be extended. Sewer is definitely going to be extended across for Philbrook because the roundabout right away encroaches into his septic lines. So they have to then provide him sewer. Water, there's conversation. We're trying to figure all that out between the developer, DOT. I mean, it's a headache.
Fun stuff.
But getting that water line also extended during the time of construction because it will cut down costs instead of boring. I mean,
Right.
the road and stuff is just while it's open, it's just you're installing the line.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So as Kim mentioned, like a lot of this is contingent upon probably or at least their construction timeline is going to be contingent upon the roundabout because if the roundabout somehow gets postponed anymore, I mean, then they can't get their water and sewer. Now they can probably go ahead and start doing some of the grading and other work needed, but that infrastructure is going to be the first thing that goes in before they can put houses in. So,
Yeah, why would you start doing that? And then you got all kinds of erosion issues and it's just with
No,
time.
you have no idea.
but and I'll mention one of the side iterations that we saw that was originally floated back a few months ago, the 50 home, the Meadowlark one. I think it went to planning board, maybe not to this.
Are you talking about what they just sent us for a demonstration purpose? There was one they sent us that was just to kind of show what they could possibly do. It was never an actual proposal.
Yeah, well, that's the one. I guess I'm referring to the one that had like the Meadowlark, estate lots, the
Did it have the one thing amphitheater?
yeah.
That was not actual proposal.
Yeah,
that was just for illustrative purposes.
I don't
Correct.
think you showed that to a board as a whole.
Well, I haven't. I think planning board saw that.
The committee saw it.
Or
And
the committee.
the committee saw it, and
Anyways, what I'm trying to
saw
say
it.
is some of the stuff
I
that
saw
they've discussed and based off the June Heritage District draft, what's being proposed and stuff is that if they end up going the other route with the Heritage District, you'd be surprised on you would actually get more buffer here between Meadowlark and this development. You would get more greenway, you would get a park, you would get some more connectivity because the Heritage
But the individual home sites might
Become
be more
smaller.
compact.
They will be smaller.
because that's one thing we did with the Heritage District or what's being proposed is trying to provide some flexibility in those building lots, and it's not to increase density,
Yeah.
it's to still meet those other standards of trying to provide open green space and connect. Because at the end of the day, with the future goal of the Heritage District is to have this full walkable community from your already existing neighborhoods, whatever gets developed here, but you have some you have a place to be and a place to go to. But
And you have people to go to them.
yeah, and especially I think COVID and even as time changes, I think being able to walk to places and just be outside is becoming a huge fling, I guess, I don't know.
Draw.
And I always use the term quality of life. I think the more you can improve quality of life for your residents or the better. And that's something that the Heritage District, I think, is that's kind of the number one overall goal.
So is there anything other than just reviewing it, considering recommendations? There's not really anything for our group until we get to the stage that we're talking about a fee in lieu or talking
Well, I think
about
that's where we are now.
So
That's what-
I
my
think that's-
staff's my recommendation, if we want to vote on this today, because it can still come back, this can still come January for a formal recommendation. But the recommendation could be that we recommend that we ask the developer for either some type of greenway through the view shed buffer and or the fee in lieu, which I'll have to get before basically for us to address the developer with that.
Are they ready? Do you want them to make a recommendation now? Or
Like I said, it's open.
if they need things from the developer, you can just.
I do have a question. What is the difference between a conservation land and tree preservation perimeter? What does that look like?
Is that at the top where?
This big wide 285
So
is
that's the view shed
conservation.
buffer. So the way our
What does it
ordinance
look
reads
like?
the
Do they do anything to it?
No. Right? Not the conservation, they don't.
They can, but then there's, I mean, it just depends.
They're
on
both, they're overlaid.
Yeah.
Here it's overlaid,
So
right.
the tree preservation, I don't think they touch at all.
Okay, that's,
The view shed buffer can be handled in multiple ways, I think, as long as the view is shedded. I'll have
If they
to,
take down, they could have to put back in?
they,
Cause
well,
I mean, that's very heavily treed.
Correct.
They're not old trees, but they're still trees.
that's where, I think, I mean, for example, you're Innisbrook, don't they have a 285, I mean, even though the tennis courts are there, I'm trying to think of Broadmoor had one that had a view shed. I'm trying to think of some that you guys might be familiar
I have
with.
no idea, but it's a lot from the road to,
Yeah, and then they have you guys have berm and trees, right?
yeah.
I just like,
It would
just
be-
an idea of what it would look like.
Yeah.
It doesn't really.
It would be something like that. The way, what's being proposed in the
It
Heritage
was,
District, I think 100 foot, 100,
My
150
husband's
foot from Newtown.
father's
But they have to, it's like,
did,
they have to provide the berm and
yeah,
it's like
they
95,
sold it.
96% like a peak, meaning that there shouldn't be any type of visibility. So it's slims the buffer, but then once again, they still have to provide park and open space. So that's where you get more amenities and you're still conservating the same amount of land, but you're getting more use out of it.
I guess probably what I'm trying to get at is, A, I'm just interested in what it would look like, but B, the idea of cutting trees down to plant more trees makes my teeth
Oh,
hurt.
yeah.
So that's
that-
just insane.
So the one thing,
leave them alone.
and that's where, so in my notes when I reviewed this, it's very unclear. Our ordinance is all over the place. So I pulled our ordinance and I went through previous developments and see what was required for certain sketch plans. For example, the preserve and one other, a tree, where was it?
Tree ordinance.
Well, it's the maintenance plan agreement and then tree survey on what's there and what they're potentially going to remove. That is a requirement of the preliminary plat construction drawings, but it's not clear if it is in the sketch plan. It was not part of the Marvin Branch sketch plan, and I don't think it was potentially part of Broadmoor, maybe, but it was part of the preserve. So it's kind of unclear. But I put that in my notes and made that a recommendation that basically, like, here's my notes from my review. I send this to the developer. Basically, everything in yellow is a question that I have to get some clarification on, and everything in orange is stuff that had to be.
Well, I agree with Christina on trees.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah. So I would like some clarification on that, and my opinion would be, don't cut down things to replant, God knows, a red maple or a crepe myrtle.
God forbid.
Would you guys prefer just to have connectivity like here? Or would you guys prefer to have some sort of like interweaving sidewalk that then like kind of comes through here, or not sidewalk, but
I think you're talking about an easement that's gonna already be there and probably 30 foot wide, I think he said.
Yeah.
That you're gonna have to meander depending on where the utilities lay in that easement and stuff like that. So I don't think there's gonna be a lot of room for creativity.
Well, so all that will be underground. We'll have the easement for the ingress, egress, and then the maintenance. In theory,
but would you rather have them build something or give us money and build it? And give us the easements for both.
Okay, the easement was the fee in lieu, and we build it.
And frankly, doing some.
Well, it depends.
That's what I'm asking.
Because if they build it and it's part of their common open space,
Then they have to maintain it.
then they will likely maintain it.
That's a good point.
Right? Do they maintain it then?
it's part of the maintenance agreement,
And
which
it's
is one
really
thing that
connecting their
is-
neighborhood to Marvin more than connecting Marvin to
them.
anything there.
Right.
So I'd prefer to talk to them about doing that as a good neighbor and a good design, but it becomes part of their common open space that.
But would we prefer to have just this and that, or just that?
Well, I think you have them, you convince them to just do that, and then the bigger piece. I mean, I'm almost thinking you're probably better off with fee in lieu.
That's what that would be.
For
my
this
suggestion.
piece.
Yeah.
So have them build this piece and maintain it, and then get fee and lieu money for that.
Yeah, just to give
Along
them
with the easement
walking
to get
connectivity.
to
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Okay.
And just leave that strip alone. And let the three birds that live in
Here,
stay in there.
I'm not 100% sure on this. I would potentially recommend maybe the village take that for these two reasons is, I mean, and then it does get the cost and who's responsible. But if it's going over that easement and for some reason they ever have to come in there and do anything to that water line, they gotta tear it up.
Yeah.
If we do what our standards are with the crush pad and stuff, like, technically then the property owner, I mean, sometimes, depending on what it is, sometimes the property owner / Union County, with it being their utility system, might have some cost share in it, but I guess at the end of the day, if something happens like that, who's more likely to make sure it gets done and gets replaced? Is it the village or the HOA? And that's just where
Well,
I mean,
and that's where I'm saying though, I think you're gonna end up being very limited in where you could put any connection there. Because you're gonna specifically design it to not interfere with the utilities that are underground.
well,
Like
that's
right on top of it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can try to stay off, but depending on what's there, potentially you might have to go over it. And it's just like I said, if they ever have to do maintenance in that one spot, like we would want to try
Yeah,
staying
that's what you're
all,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even around it, that's why it's a 30-foot wide for any type of maintenance. Because the line's only it's an 8-inch line, and it's an 8-inch water line and then potentially sewers, I think.
You guys wanna think about it? Let's
Yeah.
talk about it in January?
Yeah, we can, like I said, we can talk about it in January because originally, not that we were trying to speed it, I got the sketch plan back in November, and once again, trying to become familiar with our ordinance and process is kind of a confusing thing. Reviewed it, but then it was like, wait a second, technically a PIM meeting. So it's not, and I talked to the developer about when they want to do a PIM meeting, and he said they probably won't do it till January anyway. And so
Let's just wait
it
until our
potentially,
January meeting to
yeah.
talk about it. But can you ask him these questions? Because I know you've got a good working relationship
Yeah.
with him. Just kind of feel them out for our options.
Yeah, saying, hey, put this in front of our PRG board and, while it may make sense to do a fee in lieu, what's your interest in creating some more connectivity via that easement?
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and making
Would
it
you
part of the common
rather
area.
do it? Would you rather us do it and give us money towards it?
And I assume the planning board has seen this?
Nope.
No.
Nope, you guys are first.
first.
I hadn't even seen it.
This will go to planning board. I mean, it'll probably be on their agenda next week.
So that's next week?
Yeah, but
'Cause
once
I just
again,
talked to Kelly a lot, so I don't want to bring.
once again, I guess what ultimately I'm trying to, when I say I'm trying, it's just because of the way our scheduling and stuff, and it's also their schedule could change based off of the Heritage District. Tentatively, this would be adopted or approved by council in February, unless something comes out of that PIM meeting. Because their PIM meeting, I think, we're looking at the first or second week in January, which then it could go back to planning. If anything comes out of that, obviously it's coming back to you guys regardless, because it will probably, your January meeting is going to probably be before their PIM meeting. But so I still have it going to planning board next week, but they're in the same boat as you guys, is that they might not necessarily need to make a recommendation until the January meeting.
I just wanted to say it soon.
Yeah, because I
Because I would like her
tentatively,
opinion about it.
the earliest this would be at council would be February.
Okay.
And so I think even if you guys make a recommendation in January and planning board makes a recommendation in January, okay. Who's that?
John Jones would
Oh.
probably did it today.
Then it can be recommended by both you guys and planning board and then go to council in their February meeting. But yeah, so just to clarify, we're looking at one tree, what their plan is with the view shed. It's supposed to remain or what, fee in lieu versus Greenway sidewalk connectivity, mixture of both, and as well as,
Basements for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of you said like path to nowhere. That's what's tough in certain, like with developments like this.
Yeah, but
It's like,
sometimes you have to have a path to nowhere and one
To
day you
start.
hook it up. Yeah, you
You
gotta
see,
start
and
somewhere.
that's why my thought is if you can do something with that easement at the roundabout there, it gets
Well-
you the connectivity without investing a ton in sidewalks and a greenway that basically go to the South Carolina line.
yeah, I mean, it would basically provide the residents of this more of an amenity. I mean, a start. Because like I said, my opinion, or my thought is like
That's
if
not
they
the South
have,
Carolina line.
if they have something weaving in
It's
here
pretty close.
Yeah.
and connect, well, that kind of gets them started, I mean, because then it will connect to the greater Marvin Loop. I mean, because that is going to happen,
Yeah.
hopefully. I mean, when I say hopefully, just once again,
Being optimistic.
yeah. I mean, like I said, we got the grant, but it's also tied to DOT funding. It's a separate fund, but they told us we can start, so we're working on it. So, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's completely fine. We can table this till January, and I will come back with that more information, as well as I will probably, the developer typically is on every phone call when any of their stuff's on. I think he had a meeting, he didn't realize, I said, we kind of got, him and I had a brief miscommunication / two different thoughts on scheduling here. So he will definitely be on the, I'll make sure to have him for the January meeting. So I'll get some of these answers, but some of those questions or comments can be directed, for him to hear as well. Yeah, anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you, Hunter.
No problem.
All right, next item on new business is number 2, Austin, the discussion of the new agenda and meeting management system.
Okay, I'll wake up for a second here. So brief. I tell you, this has to be a PRG record. I don't know. Really fast. We're gonna have a new software system in place. My goal is by January. It's not really gonna affect you guys that much, but you're just gonna get your agenda packets in a different way. Instead of me emailing you a PDF every time we have a meeting, you're gonna log onto a website. It's going to be there. It's a little more interactive. Things are bookmarked. Even though yours, guys, isn't really that long, basically I'm just going to provide you some login information and show you how to access it.
And you'll prompt us to let us know that it's there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm your tech support, so.
Yeah. So when you do the quorum check, hey, don't forget your agenda's out there,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
or however you want to do it.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out some things, but yeah.
Okay.
That's literally pretty much
Oh my
it.
God, that was the quickest item on the list. Good job.
I aim to
Well,
please.
that was exciting.
New business item number 3 is discussion of trailhead markers. That's you, Bob.
You'll see if you can beat my record.
And, but I'm gonna do a try. Kim had mentioned to me what I thought of maybe doing trailhead markers for things like Toledo and almost like a state park sign. When you go to a trailhead, it gives you everything. You go to a website, I wrote down all that stuff on the website. Elevation change, when's the trail?
Definitely elevation change. We definitely need
Yeah,
that.
it's 60 feet
2
on one of our
inches.
trails.
That much?
Yeah. So, but anyway, the thought would be, instead of just having these standalone trails, just have a trailhead marker that was very attractively done and visualize state park. And if we were to think that is a good idea, would like to pursue it, then that becomes an Eagle Scout project.
Yeah, that would be good.
And that we would just go ahead and put it on the, that process I went over with everybody, we'd put it on our website, it would be up there.
I haven't updated that list in a while, so we might need to double check to see what we currently have on there.
Yeah, well, yeah, so, I can get up with you on that. But if everybody thinks that's a pretty good idea, I think it's one worth pursuing.
Yep.
And we'll have to come up with some consistent format, so whoever
Yeah.
does the first one, then we're gonna stick with
Now,
that
you're
format.
just talking about trailhead though, because many years ago, we went through a whole thing with marking the trails
No.
as they go,
No.
and they were color coded, and
No.
I think we made them out of cat food cans.
No, it's something very attractive, like, for Tullamore as an example, it'd be the Tullamore Trail.
Yeah.
And give you the length of the trail and so on and so forth, and I think it'd be very attractive.
Difficulty level.
Yeah, easy.
No, I think it's a great idea. Do you
Strenuous.
want to have on the website, like for the Eagle Scout projects, do you just want to have like trailhead marker, or do you want to have like Tullamore Phase 1 trailhead marker, Tullamore Phase 2 trailhead marker, Village Hall trailhead, preserve internal, like, do you want to have like a whole list? And so like one, you know, an
Right.
Eagle Scout can pick like 2 or 3, or how do you, like, what do you think?
I'd recommend doing one.
Just say trailhead markers, and then we can
And then we-
can have a list.
We can have a list. We pick the one we want to start with, and I'm assuming based on. I got up with every neighborhood. When we got the trail certified, we put up our certified trail signs. I called the HOA presidents to let them know that we were going to do those signs. And in working with Derek said, Bob, and I don't know if this is still true or not, Kim, so I could be correct. You know, I could be corrected. That the signs cannot be seen from the road. Now, see, if I were doing the Tullamore,
Oh, because of our sign ordinance.
yeah. So if I was doing the Tullamore Trail, as an example, you know, and if it's very attractive, you know, where the old parking lot used to
Yeah.
be, that's where the trail sign head ought to be, where people know this
We
is
can
where I pick up
always
the
we
trail.
can always adjust our ordinance to, because we didn't have trailhead marker signs.
Okay.
We can always
It could be an exemption.
exception.
So,
Yeah.
are you guys okay with me adding it to our list of Eagle Scout projects?
Yes.
Okay,
I
it's
think-
already on the website.
Okay, great. I think that's a great idea. I think that let's have maybe Hunter look at the sign ordinance and see what we need to do to kind of adjust that. Because yeah, you're right. When we did it, I know when we had it down at the end of Golden Bell, like it was in a little bit. It wasn't like right at the street. So let's have Hunter look at that and see what we need to do to, because I guess that would go to, after we look at it and figure out what we want, that would go to planning board and then to us.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Really fast, the other 2 Eagle Scout projects we have on there is the walking bridge and the compost bins.
Walking bridge has been done.
Okay, we'll take that off.
Oh.
That's already been handled.
Can I make a suggestion on that? I don't know how hard this is for you, because it would have to be you. That when we do get something done, we take a picture and we post it on there. And these are past projects that were done by the
We
scout.
can create a photo gallery for it.
Yeah.
But I just need the photos.
Then-
I mean, because I think that would be, if
Yeah,
I'm the scout, I'm going, oh,
no,
things
that's a
have been
good
done.
idea. You know, we had the swing set built.
Mhm.
Yep. Which
That's
looks
been
great.
done. You know, that, yeah, 2,000 pounds of concrete. That sucker's not going anywhere.
If y'all will just
And
get
then
some
we-
pictures, if you get some pictures and email them to me,
and then
just
we're
tell me
gonna
what's been
do,
done, we can do
the
it.
3-bin compost.
Mhm.
I've got Sebastian's supposed to be, he's looking at doing that. So that's another project.
That's
It looks
great.
like it's being done. So I'm working with 2 or 3 Eagle Scouts right now. So
Awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I love the trailhead marker idea, and I think the first one, like, you guys can figure out like how, like, what you want on it, how you want it to look, and then that will be the template,
That'll be the
for all the
template.
rest.
And you know, maybe the first trail we want to do is the Village Trail.
Yeah, yeah,
The one
Well,
behind,
yeah.
yeah,
the one right behind Village Hall,
yep.
and have the sign built. Maybe
Well,
that should be our first one.
Didn't we also already approve a look and feel for all the signs within the park? And I think we did that.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't remember that, but that doesn't mean that we didn't.
I'm pretty sure we did, and if we did, we probably just want to revisit that and keep a consistent look
I
and feel.
agree.
I think
with that.
Derek was a part of that conversation, so he's on another call at the
Can
moment.
we take that down and go back to you?
I apologize.
But what
No,
I-
no,
I
no.
forgot.
John, what I'm imagining
Make sure
is a
it's
wood
there.
sign.
Yeah.
The whole thing being
Yeah,
wood.
and router down.
Right, exactly.
Like that, just smaller.
Yeah, yeah. Very, and maybe and John, yeah, maybe it is.
He is
Eagle
user
Scout doing
910505.
No, he's not.
Because I don't know
Yes,
if that's
he
a big
is.
enough
That was just my
project
cursor.
or-
Oh,
Well, we'll figure it out. But everybody's okay with trailhead.
yes, I think it's a great idea.
That was your idea.
Oh,
Good idea.
I knew it was a great idea.
All right, the next item in
Good
new
idea.
business is item number 4, which is discussion of spring 2022
So few
community
of them, I
cleanup event.
forget. When do you want to do it? Get it on the calendar.
It needs to be a promotional opportunity for Marvin Day. If not-
Yeah, I think maybe about a month before it, which puts you around 420, which is generally when the community-wide cleanups happen and occur anyway around Earth Day and
Do you
stuff.
want me to just pull up dates really fast?
Well, you've got spring break that starts the 15th.
For those of us that
Yeah.
like to take a
April
vacation
until the
now and then.
24th.
Too bad.
it's too- I know.
Okay.
Too bad, Bob, you are too involved.
And maybe we need to have it like maybe the very end of April or very beginning of May.
That's what I'm thinking,
so
maybe that-
so that the park is nice and clean, and it's been.
Well, this
Well,
is
that's
normally what
normally
we.
not the park.
This is the roadside.
This is
Oh,
the road
I
signs.
thought this was
Mm-mm.
But I think that'd be a nice thing to do too,
park
right?
cleanup.
right
Yeah,
before.
no, I agree too. Okay.
What do you think? April 23rd, April 30th, May
Not the
7th,
23rd. That's at the very end of spring break.
Yeah, I'd say the 30th.
April 3rd.
available. So enjoy yourselves.
All right.
And anybody's going to Merle Fest, Bob, is not available.
What we
I
will
don't
want to
wanna be at
do
Merle
is
Fest.
connect with that group of kids that
Yep.
came out the last
I'm looking
time.
forward to it.
Are they still on next
Oh,
door?
yeah, that's
Litter,
awesome.
litter sweepers?
not seen them in a very long time, and that doesn't.
Yeah, I've seen them on, I mean, I've seen them on next door, but not lately, you're right.
Yeah.
But the IB
I-
programs might be involved, might be interested.
Do we want to do the 30th or the 7th?
I'd say that. The 7th, you think? I guess things would be cleaner heading into Marvin Community
Yeah.
Day.
So
Yeah.
7.
May 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, Saturday, May
Think y'all can
7th.
come watch the band play that night.
And celebrate my birthday.
So-
Oh, is that your birthday?
Yes, it is.
Well, that's why we're having, that's
I'll bring you what
Let
you
me get
brought for
Christina.
my birthday. Joe always says that. I'm gonna get you what I got you last year. Nothing. Are we good with that date?
I'll definitely throw you a
That's
party.
fine by me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, spring
Makes
cleanup
sense.
day. Now, do we want to have a spring park cleanup day?
I don't,
Well, I'm gonna,
it's pretty immaculate.
I will be doing the same thing, as long as I get people to help, that we did last year with spreading mulch and cutting everything
Yeah.
back, but that was more like February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Like a
You had-
volunteer day
Yeah.
for the park
Yeah.
to get it ready.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Not like picking up trash. I mean like
Because
the
that,
beds
like she
and
said, you would
weeds
want to
and-
do earlier because
I
you
gotta
want to
do it.
prep
John,
it
we
for
can do
everything
one.
coming in. the
yeah, I
spring.
gotta do it earlier.
But do we want like a weed pulling day, like right before?
I'll probably I'll start doing that kind of stuff February-ish. We'll just let it go for a little while.
Okay, but you're good with like
I've
scheduling it. You don't need us to. Okay.
I've got heaps to help with
Okay.
that, but I want to promote it and,
Okay.
I'll take any help I can get.
Okay.
Last year an entire church helped.
So did you already open this item or no?
Nope.
Nope.
Spring-
Don't come in here all like
All right.
you know what's going on.
So now we're gonna move on to new business item number 5, which is discussion of Parks and Recreation Trust Fund application.
Yay.
So this is the lovely application. I know y'all haven't talked about this, I don't think in the past at all, but the idea was brought up from council to assess the possibility of a dog park. So that kind of led into a discussion about doing some research into Part F, which I've done. And so at this point in time, my recommendation to council is going to be to really consider other avenues of what we can do in the Part F grant aside from a dog park, other things. The way that it's structured in the research that I had found was basically you can only apply for one location every 25 years. So if we're going to do it, we might as well go all in. The max that you can apply for is $500,000, which basically means it's going to be $1 million project. So if that's what the council decides to do, we're going to need some things to fill in that $1 million. I've provided to you just a quick copy of. Do you have anything?
When you say one location, do you mean like Marvin or do you mean like the park?
The park.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Can we do like a pocket park too? Like, can we do like, so all of Marvin, North Carolina's parks?
you can do like so.
I mean, we have two.
I don't know the specifics. If we did like the dog park, for example, at the pocket park, and it cost $100,000, that's really, I think, the only thing you can do there, anyways, physically, because it's bound by the location. Now, if we were gonna, let's say we were gonna buy some land across the street or wherever, you would want to pretty much do what you're gonna do there at that facility in one application, not come back later.
So we could only really do it at Marvin Eford Park.
You can do all of it at Marvin Eford, or you can do as much as you want to do at the pocket park too.
Oh, two in addition to. Okay.
It does make the application a little bit harder. So I would probably focus on one park at a time if we're gonna do it that way.
Well,
just
we
'cause
can
it'll
only
be
do
easier.
it once every 25 years.
Per park.
Oh, per park.
Oh.
Well, I don't think we can find $1 million worth of stuff to do at the pocket park, so,
No. I mean, I could.
well.
We'll go
But-
play a couple birdhouses.
But you could, if we say $1 million and we say, all right, we've got 800 we're gonna spend at Eford, let's go ahead and put 100 in over here. We could do that too.
Okay, at the
But-
pocket park.
Yes,
Okay.
it does, that's where it makes the application a little bit harder on us to do, but it can be done, yes.
Okay.
I've put together the timeline here. So we would have to have our application due by March.
Just one question. Is it just park or does that include greenways?
It can include greenways as well. I don't know to what extent. I have not fully researched that, so, but it can include greenways.
But just at the park or throughout the
No,
village?
throughout.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're gonna talk about, is what kind of ideas do you guys have? Do y'all wanna throw ideas of combining, greenways, the pocket park, Marvin Eford, or do you wanna focus on one particular thing? One particular park with a multitude of different things? I've provided the survey results from the 2019 survey in your packet, the packet I sent around, so you can kind of see what residents wanted to see. This page right here is really kind of the isolated specific things. Everything else is just kind of general overview of that people want to see more amenities, but they don't really specify what.
Yeah, don't move.
So really this is a kind of a generation of ideas here, so we
So
can,
this was a subset of that question?
Correct.
Okay.
yeah.
So of the 74 people, 74% of the people who said, yes, this was important, 33% didn't know what they meant by that?
Right.
I mean, that didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Okay. It's important.
And Christina, the reason you're showing this to Parks, Rec, and Greenways is to get ideas, but also because we need to show that we've shown other groups besides council.
Yes, so yes, the idea of this meeting today is to get some ideas from you all to see what you're interested in doing and recommending to the council for consideration. But secondly, to make sure y'all are in agreement that you want to do this, that you want to recommend this. I would assume that answer is yes.
And what's the general time frame? Are we looking at projects that we would be looking at 2 years from now? Because that's as long as the grant writing process takes, the grant delivery
That's a good question.
takes,
Yeah, that's
you know
a really
what I
good
mean?
question.
Because we have things on our long-term plan, but we might have to adjust that.
So they would actually give us an announcement in summer or fall of next year.
And
And
then,
usually they move pretty quickly.
and then we
so-
have how long to spend it, or do we have to spend it in a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I think it's 4 years. It's a
That-
couple of years.
That
for
we
sure.
have to complete everything
Yes.
in, and so we can basically, as soon as we get it, we can start it.
Yes, yeah. It's done very similar to what the CRTPO, it's reimbursement based,
Yeah.
so
So, and this is a matching grant.
it is 50%.
So when you're talking about that 4 years, will council have to do those matches all up front? Do they have to show that money already in the bank?
That's a good question.
Or can they budget that over the 4 years?
We can budget it, but it's gonna be dependent on the phases. I mean, we could have phase one that includes a dog park that's $300,000, and I'm just using that for an example. And we would have to come up with that 300,000 for that one phase, because we wouldn't.
And then get reimbursed 150.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so it's always the village putting out the money and budgeting for it,
Yes.
and then getting it on the
Yes.
back.
Getting half back.
Gotcha.
And we would have to figure that out from a council level. But yes, to answer your question, we front 100%, we get reimbursed
Okay.
50%.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
So first and foremost, are y'all in agreement
Absolutely.
with that as a
Yes.
whole?
Yeah.
500,000.
Correct.
Yes.
We would be committing.
I mean,
So it's
I'm not on
basically
Parks, Rec,
100
and Greenway, but
It's
I'm in.
125 a year that the council will have to budget.
Assuming that it's 4 years, and I don't know the exact number, but again, don't forget about the phases. It could be 250 one year, it could be 100 another year.
So one of the things, if you want ideas for spending money, Since the top one of anybody's real opinion was more events and entertainment, if we built some kind of a shelter that could have a band in it.
You mean like an amphitheater?
No, yeah, but the amphitheater implies all these seats and stuff. Forget about that. You should bring your own chair. That's not a problem. But some kind of, probably shed roof kind of a thing. Looks like the stage that he set up. You could do all kinds of events on that. It wouldn't
Where
just.
would that go though?
Well, I mean, you could put it in the park somewhere.
They'd have to go at the park, cause this is a thing for the
Yeah,
park.
yeah, and
Yeah,
right.
although I think you gotta be a little careful of some of the, going back to the formation of the park.
I know.
And, you know, you might say a perfect place for it is down near the pavilion or something like that. But that sound travels on water, and there's always
well, you face it
been-
the other way.
there's always been that underlying concern of our neighbors down there, you know, and
You mean
and
the
just
ones
kind
that
of
aren't in
figuring that
Marvin?
out.
You mean those neighbors?
Well, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not sure where you'd put it. It is obviously a problem. But the more events and entertainment, one of the problems we're going to have with Marvin Day is a stage that costs a lot of money.
All right.
And if you already have one, then
Let me ask the question, Christina, if we can do money set aside at pocket parks, can we have a pocket park at Village Hall?
I'm actually pulling up something right now that I think y'all were talking about, which is an amphitheater, but it's not
With
one that
seats?
you're talking about.
Because we've talked about putting more stuff at Village Hall, like the farmer's market and an amphitheater of sorts, not with seating, but
right.
like.
Because once you put seats in it, then it
Yeah.
takes up way too much room.
Yeah.
Because people can sit. They
Yeah.
can bring their own chairs. Everybody's got a
But,
chair.
so if we make a pocket park at Village Hall, then we could have it there and we totally take away the neighbor situation.
Still get into parking issues though. That's still gonna be the issue at
Can
the
y'all add
park.
it?
Yeah.
That's still gonna be
Yeah,
the
but
issue.
you've got,
That is
you've got
very
walking, you can park at the elementary school like on the weekend, like they're not there, you can walk up
You
the
can
sidewalk, everything's
bus
gonna be
people in if you have to.
connected. Again, walkability, I should be able to
Pretty
walk from my house at that point.
You can have a band in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The way that
Yeah, that's
the way
cool.
the structure is, it kind of pushes the sound out, so that. Can you pass me that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
But we should have decent amount, like, cause we're starting on the CRTPO loop, like, I mean, by the time we build something like that, it's gonna be a couple of years, and we should have more walkability.
You could have bands there. You could have
Community
plays.
theater.
Community theater. You could have movie
I think it's a
stalls.
great idea. I just,
Yeah,
No, you're right.
I always think
But-
about the parking.
but I
piece.
think if we can
Rightfully
make
so.
a pocket park at Village Hall, then we can do that.
Okay.
Derek, did you wanna say
That
something?
scared me there for a second.
I was gonna tell Austin to pull up a picture of Stumptown Park in downtown Matthews. That's pretty much
Oh,
what
yeah, I've
they
been
have.
there.
It's
Yeah,
a
that's cool.
small amphitheater with lawn and.
They keep that place hopping all the time.
So this is great discussion. What I'll do is I'll take notes as we're going, and we don't have to be limited by just one geographic location. So
Okay.
I mean, if it works
and I
out,
would
What's
say
the park's name?
revisiting our
Stumptown
capital
Park.
plans,
What?
maybe next meeting.
Stumptown.
Stump.
Well, and
Dump the band.
one of the things that the pocket park over at Publix, one of the things that we suggested was picnic tables and more benches and, places to just kind of sit and not be
Just
that
get
quiet.
images.
So we've
Okay.
already proposed that for there. That's
so
a terrible
the
picture.
the
That's a
amphitheater.
terrible-
Go back and hit images.
We should have known on the page. Okay. Hold on.
Okay, see all those people
God,
sitting
I'm
there?
so
They're looking at the
hungry.
stage.
So,
Okay.
can you pull up real fast, Austin? Can you look up City Lake Park Amphitheater?
Oh my God, are they both growing beards in the winter?
Amphitheater.
Hi, Tommy.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing good. How's everybody?
Good. Seriously, did they make a pact that they're both gonna grow beards?
It's no shave,
No shave, no shave
November's
November,
over.
bleeding
It's
over.
December.
Yes, but
And it's hunting season.
Okay, so that right there
It's
is
Don't Care December now.
It's
Oh yeah, that is really cool.
It's
And it kind of goes with our barn thing.
the first picture is the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I like that.
Isn't that what you just pulled up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
because
an
it's an Albemarle.
Well, the way that the
I
way
like
that it
Cool.
curves like that pushes out, like the noise.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it does?
But it also goes with the barn thing that we sort of got going around here. I like that.
That's the only one that I know of that.
That's very cool. I did not know that was an owl. That's my parents have figured out.
I know,
About
I'm
to eat a
about-
hand.
That's where I'm at.
Oh,
Don't look at mine,
oh, good God.
So,
especially
Alright.
here soon.
are y'all,
I don't have to leave it.
y'all,
I've
I
got
think
it
it's here
before
now.
that.
y'all are interested in that at Village Hall, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
What other ideas do y'all have?
There's a car turning.
I like
Um,
the dog park thing. I like more benches and picnic tables.
Where are we gonna put a dog park?
Yeah, I don't, that's my question.
Not at the park.
I mean, I would not have it at the Pocket Park by Publix because I think it's too doggone close to Providence Road and dear Lord, if
And you have to
something
have an actual
happens,
chain link
like,
fence.
I would
for a
not
dog
take my
park.
dog there. He doesn't listen for,
No.
Okay, so y'all like a dog park, but you don't like it at the Pocket Park.
we don't know
I don't
where.
like it
Okay.
either park.
All right, so more
Yeah, I'm not
seating.
sure I love it at Marvin Eford.
I don't like it.
If
I don't
if you
either.
were to do it at Marvin Eford, I would think that you would do it in the field off
Yep.
the shop,
Yep.
which is behind the row of parking and trees.
I don't go that far
Where
back.
we-
I don't know where it is.
No, I know exactly
It's where
where.
we used to have the corral.
Yeah.
A performance stage, a dog park, what else?
Okay,
Old
More
That's all
Sandy.
we've said
More
so
seating.
far.
Yeah, more picnic
Oh,
tables,
more
benches, things
benches.
like that.
okay.
More
and then
benches.
Do we need money for
There's our
More
Greenways.
benches for Greenways? You wanna add
Yes.
Greenways?
Absolutely.
Yes.
A perfect example is we already have easements at the chimneys, and it was always funding that we had issue because we got to build a $65,000
Yep, that's
bridge
Amazon.
or something like that. You know?
So what about redoing the playground?
Yes. I mean, I think on our priority sheet, there was like 3 playground options.
Okay.
So,
And then
I haven't
parking,
played on it. Is it bad?
parking lot, parking area.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
where are we gonna put it?
Well, see, why is there not more parking in that lot that area you were just talking about?
The corral.
Behind the
Because, yeah, it used to be an area where there was a corral and stuff, but there was a natural tree line there.
no, but right behind.
And that, but then the
There's our
other
food.
reason why it wasn't parking is you get into some real serious drainage issues in
Okay.
that whole area.
So
That's-
the next steps that we have to encounter from a staff level, if y'all are interested in pursuing this, is that we really need to get council on board with creating a plan. And this is almost like a master plan that y'all created for the entire village, but it's really for what we can see in our individual greenway spaces. And we'd have to obviously hire a consultant to do that. So something similar, where you basically, well, this is not a good example. You basically have a vendor come in and, I mean, it would be a lot more detailed than what you see here. But this would be Marvin Eford Park, and they'd say you could put a dog park here, you could do your
Yep.
parking lot here.
Like
So,
you sort of, like you did for the historic district when you had those fast
yes,
food and-
Is-
yeah.
Christina, is that something that we need to have done before, like for the application?
It's something that you can actually, you'll get better points. If you have that done already before the application is submitted, you'll get better points. But you can use it, you can use
I know,
the
obviously
funding.
use
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but,
So we can do a very bare minimum to submit the application
but
and
don't
see
you,
what
but don't you
happens.
think it's gonna be better if we like really like do it?
Oh, absolutely, but you're talking probably $30,000-$40,000 for a vendor to come in and having, to go through and sit down and do all that stuff, and also have the time to meet with you, other community groups. I don't know if we have time to do that between now and March,
Yeah.
but it's not completely off the table.
Can we go ahead and look for someone who does that and find out like what that costs and just talk to them? I mean, maybe there is like a group like that came in and did the Heritage District and kind of looked at it.
So Derek can give us an update, but he's already started doing that. He's actually reached out to at least 2 people and scheduled a meeting sometime, I think next week or the following week with me and that vendor.
Okay.
So we'll have that information. Derek, I don't know if you have any other
Bye,
commentary on that.
I think we also, when we did the original Parks and PGR master plan, I think we did it in conjunction also with somebody at UNC Charlotte, where UNC Charlotte was looking for a project for one of their, and I'm sure that they do grant writing and stuff like that there, so that might be an option as well.
Or at
That's
least to look at planning the
You
park
know,
space.
oftentimes they'll be overseen by one of their professors,
That's a
it would-
great thought.
Mhm.
They do have,
School of Architecture over there.
they do have mentors and people to help small businesses, and they do it free.
My daughter does it at Clemson right now
Yeah.
for nonprofits.
No, that's a
You know,
great
where they
idea.
do-
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But unless y'all have any other questions, comments, or suggestions on things, I'll go ahead and present to the council that y'all are interested, and these are some of the ideas. See if council's interested in us going ahead and, hiring someone to kind of put this together. And then we'll report back to you all at a later date. But, if this goes through, y'all will obviously be a lot more involved once we figure all the details
Oh,
out.
and make sure that has electrical.
Okay.
Yes, that by itself is
Yeah.
nice without power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I
That
have
was my alarm.
for the PRG.
Okay.
I got like 5 minutes. I mean, I don't even have 5 minutes. I gotta be in 5 minutes.
Do I hear a motion on the table to allow Christina to adjourn?
Yeah.
Well, it's a motion to excuse from the meeting. Your food is in the kitchen.
Excuse from the meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. But then where do you go?
I mean, you can't make, you're going over action items.
See you tonight.
Okay, and I'm gonna send you that, what I'm gonna talk about.
Okay.
Don't forget your food in the kitchen.
I will get it. Thank you very much.
Christina, get up with Christina.
Oh, I am. My husband will call.
All right. So
Who made the motion there? To excuse her?
I made the motion.
Okay. Sorry.
Bob
Second.
seconded it.
I'll catch that later. Okay. Sorry. We're good? Action items?
That's you.
Okay. Just two things. Derek will get an itemized roundabout plantings quote, and Hunter will review the sign ordinance and recommend changes to allow for trailhead markers. I think everything else we've got. So, Kim, you'll do the list.
No, I don't have it.
Did I not put it in the packet?
I didn't bring a packet.
Oh.
I just gathered stuff.
I actually
good.
don't have it in front of
It's
me.
been long. We're good.
Hold on.
We're good.
Okay. So comments.
Bob, anything?
No.
I wanted to make a comment that I saw recently that Ray Williams was recognized by the council, and just wanted to say I was extremely happy to see that. Ray Williams is a guy that was chairman of the first PRG board that did a lot of work, in kind of getting it off the ground and so forth. So it was nice to see him recognized, and his wife being able to be there. He was a real interesting character, but was a real nice guy that really, had the best interests of Marvin at heart. And I just wanted to mention, thanking council for recognizing him.
Absolutely.
Other than that, do I have a motion on the table to adjourn the Village of Marvin Parks Recreation Greenway Board meeting here on December 7th at 12:37 p.m.?
So,
All right, all in favor?
Need a
say
second?
aye.
And you have to second.
done.
Aye, aye, and aye. Whee!